The situation at Spurs is oh so wrong. It's all part of Vini and Levy's con. A world-class stadium, second-rate team. Spurs are winning nothing under this regime. Together we need to shout, Levy and Iggy out. Together we need to shout, Levy and Iggy out. Intense are filling their coffers to the brim. The football forecast looks so grim. Spurs last cup win in 2008. A lack of proper investment is what true fans hate. Together we need to shout, Levy and Iggy out. Together we need to shout, Levy and Iggy out. Intense are filling their coffers to the brim. The football forecast looks so grim. Spurs last cup win in 2008. A lack of proper investment is what true fans hate. Together we need to shout, Levy and Iggy out. Together we need to shout, Levy and Iggy out. Project Youth, just another Levy feast. Dismantling Spurs history piece by piece. The stadium just an entertainment hub. No true fan wanted this for our club. Together we need to shout, Levy and Iggy out. Together we need to shout, Levy and Iggy out. Legendary Bill Nick would turn in his grave if he knew how the owners now behave. Corporate greed and no success. We need to work together to get our club out of this mess. Together we need to shout, Levy and Iggy out. Together we need to shout, Levy and Iggy out.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Tottenham Away, the best place to be in town on a Monday night, and you know this. Thank you for being here. As always, smash the like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and to everyone in the chat, first time joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. To all the regulars, the originals, good to have you back as always. If you've got anything you'd like to say, put it in the comments. We'll try and go through it as the show goes on. And if you've got any questions or anything in particular you want us to discuss, get your super chats in. Thank you to all our members as well. Appreciate each and every one of you. And I also want to say, very quickly, thank you to all the original Tottenham Away members, followers, and all the ones that have joined us over the past few years, because we as a channel have come under unprecedented attack of negative echo chamber, you hate the club, because we've always been Levy out. As you can tell by the intro to this channel, we have been Levy out from about 2019, I think. And we've consistently stuck to that message. We've never backed down from it. We've always said it as it is on this channel. And when we said, look, this Ange project, it's done. It's lies. It's a con job, the whole thing. And we're going back a year now, maybe more, when we started talking about how this is all destined to be doom and gloom in the end. The amount of content created against us, and especially on Twitter. I mean, we had to come off Twitter in the end. But I just want to say thank you to everyone that stuck by us, because you guys got it, I think. And I think you guys truly understood what we were saying and why we were saying it. It's because we could back it up and we really meant it. It's not because we hate the club. We want the club to be the best. So I just want to say thank you, because there's so many in this channel who I know went onto other channels and podcasts and social media to defend us. And a lot of you got stick. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because it seems now pretty much everyone has got an issue with the owner. And everyone is really now saying, do you know what, this manager, it's not going to work. This project isn't going to work. And they're the same, not all, but there's a significant group there that all had it in for us when we were saying it way back when. So I just want to say thank you to you guys, because you stayed loyal and you allowed us to continue doing what we do. Because without the people that watch the show, there is no show. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for being part of Tottenham Away each and every time. That said, Iggy, look, I don't even know if you watched the game. I don't even know if Spurs fans watch the games anymore, but did you watch the game, Iggy? And if so, no, you did, because you did a video afterwards. Yeah, you did watch it. We'll get into the game, but how you doing? How you doing? And how do you feel? How do you feel, Iggy? You bothered anything?
Well, first and foremost, good evening to you guys. Good evening to those watching, whether they're watching live or in the comments, or they might watch it later. Big up to everyone. Hope you're well. Yeah, I watched the game. For those who saw the post-match, it's the first ever match reaction I've ever done since doing this channel of a Spurs game without the game actually finished. So I did the reaction after about 69 minutes of the game because I was watching it with my boy, and within sort of 55 minutes, I kind of knew how the game was going to play out. I knew how it was going to end. So I thought, I don't need to watch the end of this. So I stayed another 10 minutes, and it was 3-1 at that point. And I done a reaction. I even asked my boy, like, because Sarr and Bissouma had gone off, and I asked him. I said, by the way, I know Bergvall's come on, but who's the other one? You know what he said to me? He goes, I don't even know, Dad. I've stopped watching about 10 minutes ago. I've been on my phone for the last 15. So he didn't even know Benton could come on. And this is like he's 50. I'm watching it with a 15-year-old kid who's disengaged with Spurs, and that's the biggest take that I can. I don't remember watching Spurs at 15 being so disengaged to the point that he was on the weekend, and that's what Spurs have become now. We are at a point where we're complete. We watch the game as supporters of the team. But now, you know what's happened? Before we used to get nothing from the owners. Now we're getting nothing from the team themselves. They've completely and utterly checked out. We was never... Do you know what the worst thing about it is? That at any point of that match, up to that 69 minutes, and then we found out beyond, we never had a spell in the game where we said we were in it. We started off the first 10 minutes.
Ange disagrees with you. He said we controlled the game.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into him as well in a sec, because the first 10 minutes of that game was a clear indicator of how that match was going to be. The first 10 minutes told me everything. And those of you who remember the first 10 minutes, and I named the video atrocious. We was absolutely atrocious, and we actually went on to do first. And even when we clawed the game back with a couple of goals, we managed to then do one worse and concede again in both occasions. So, listen, it was an absolute disaster in terms of the match, which we'll get into. The post-match with Postecoglou, to say that we played well for large parts of that game, I mean, tells you everything you need to know about him now. And the whole thing, for me, has just become an absolute travesty. And I don't know what more. And the only good thing, and I will say this to end on a positive before I leave the word to Ian and Maz as well.
Positives?
The only positive is this, guys. There is a positive. We have one less game to watch. And we're that little bit closer to the end of the season. So you don't have to enjoy hardly any more games before the end of the season, but we are still well in our reach to make it 20 league defeats. That can still happen. So we're 17 now. We've got 3 more to go, and we're there.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. I can just feel we're gonna do it. I was gonna come to Maz next, but I'm gonna come to Ian because he's so fed up. He's turned the show into Crofts. He's got his dog on the show. Do you know, someone in the comments, I think it was Greg, said, I'm only on my mobile phone. Yeah, it's Greg. I'll put it up on the screen. This is hilarious. I'm only on my mobile phone. I thought Lubo was holding a wig. Listen, I'll buy the wig off you. Lubo, what's your dog's name, by the way?
It must be interesting to see how the dog's going to feel in about 15 minutes after listening to what we're about to say.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Everyone okay? Yeah. He's called Albie, not Archie, actually. He's not ours. He's my niece and nephews. They're away, and we're looking after him for a week. So it's good because it gets me out, walks for half an hour. He's a good boy. He's wandered on. He's heard the show on and he wanted to be part of it. And he's mates with the dog next door, and the dog next door is called Poch. So there you go. We've got the Spurs fans next door. Here we go. He's had enough. Off you go. There you go.
Yeah. How long was he on the show for? A minute. Is that enough? The dog knows.
So there we go. How we doing, guys? We're all right?
Was you there yesterday, Ian? Was you there?
No, I didn't go yesterday.
You didn't
I
go.
didn't go yesterday.
Lucky sod.
So there
He's
you go.
learning. Ian's learning now. He's not going to the away games. I've been telling him for a while. Stop it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Do you know we have a worse away record than Ipswich this season. We are worse on the road than what Ipswich have been, and they are relegated. How horrendous is that? That Ipswich are better on the road than us.
How? You know, I know the answer.
It's unreal, isn't it? It's unbelievable.
How we got to this point, man? How are we there?
I don't know. Look, Lubo, all good? Everything all right?
Alive and above ground. So yes.
Alive and above ground. You asked for.
Alive and above ground. Yeah.
Maz, are you above ground? You underground? Where are you?
I'm devastated that Ange is still at the club. I've been waiting all day, checking the news to see if he's been sacked, and I'm amazingly disappointed that he hasn't been sacked. And
4 more days. 4 more days. It's coming. 4 more days.
He'll probably rise again by Sunday.
I've been wondering why I've been feeling a bit like a bit, I don't know what the right word is, maybe apprehensive or a bit uneasy. And I've figured it out. It's that I think that when Ange gets sacked, it'll be like a big weight or burden off me that I won't have to deal with this insufferable man any longer in my life. You know, having to watch him moralize and rationalize and lie constantly to everyone and treat everyone with contempt all the time. I just absolutely despise him. I'll echo what I've said in the past and what Rez said last night is I've never hated the manager as much as I've hated Ange.
Do you know
and
what
it's not even because of the football. It's just I just can't deal with his constant lying, and it's one of the first things I ever picked up about him. You know, when he first came to this club, everyone was impressed initially with the things he said, and he said all the right things when he first came. But as the game started rolling in, even during that 10-game run, I just clocked it straight away. I'm thinking, why is he contradicting himself so early on? Why does he need to say certain things? And is
hate a bit strong? Because I don't hate Ange. I just think he's
an average
manager.
Hate are reserved. I rarely use the word hate. I mean, I might use it in a loose sense, in like in a conversational sense, but I don't hate anyone. In truth, but I just don't like him at all. I just do not like him, and he is the worst manager I've ever seen at Spurs, and I want him gone. Because do you guys think down to this level?
You know, like so many fans are they've turned on Ange. Do you feel that he came in and just tried to say all the right things because Conte said all the right things, but he said it in a way that fans just didn't want to hear. Like, we don't want to hear that. Don't do that. And Mourinho has had a history of it. Do you think Ange came in and just tried to say all the right things, like, you know, just let fans feel how they want, you know, just let fans be who they are, and I'm happy with the transfer window, and the team are working really hard to get in transfers. Do you think he basically came in trying to be that shield for Levy in hope that his relationship with Levy and himself would work better than what it did when Mourinho, Conte, and Poch fell apart. I'm just asking, do you think in his head he tried to be a different type of manager than what we were used to, but it backfired spectacularly? It completely went south because
there's a difference.
No one believed it.
There's a difference between saying the right thing and saying the truth. And Conte is very much about speaking a truth, his truth generally, right? But
so Maz, when I say the right thing, what I mean by that is he tried to say the right things that fans want to hear. Because a lot of fans love being fed nonsense.
But there's no point saying that if
we got our Tottenham back. Well done. We're sitting here thinking, are you?
But still, there's no point saying those things if you don't truly believe it, and if you're not saying it for the right, if you're not saying it for the right reasons. And I'm not sure he was saying it for the right reasons, because he doesn't. I mean, look at how his behaviour has deteriorated since he first came at the club. It started off with contradictions, right? Then when he started losing, he started lying. Then he started turning on the fans. Then he started questioning the fans' ambition. You know, and it's everyone else's fault apart from his. But he always says, "Oh, I take the blame. I take responsibility." Yet, as soon as someone challenges on his methods and his tactics, he you know, he's aggressive and he questions them, almost implying, "How dare you question my authority and my experience and what I'm doing?" Well, you can only have that you know, that authority when your CV and your results back it up. And unfortunately for him, his CV is third rate, and it's not something that he can. Well, I'm not saying he can't be proud of it. I'm sure a lot of people will be proud of what he's achieved, but certainly in the Premier League, it's not something to be proud of.
Do you know what? You know, at the away game, I think it was Fulham, where one of the fans, you know, as he was walking past the tunnel, said, "What was that?" And he's come back and he's squared up to him, and he had one of the players trying to hush the manager away, and he's just like having a back and forth, and you're like, mate, it's just like your team has just performed awfully. If they can't then criticize you for it as a manager, then I mean, who is it? This is a societal thing, right? It's the accountability. Nobody seems to want to be accountable for anything that happens in any walks of life. It's just as soon as you're put on a spot, and it's like, how dare you like ask me? You know, like, mate, we are on the worst run I can remember in terms of league defeat in one season, the worst. And I'm like, how the hell do you think like this can carry on? And the thing is, like, how are you still on the job? That's enough. That has been mind-boggling since the turn of the year. And also, you like at this point, like, because I heard you guys yesterday. I saw yesterday some of yesterday's show today, and you guys were saying, no, get rid of him, bring someone in, and I'm like, listen, nobody's a miracle worker. To get rid of someone today in the hope that we'll do something on Thursday, 3 days, no one's going to work a miracle. At this point of the season, you've gone this far. Well, how many games left? 5-6 games.
But Iggy, that's the problem. That's the problem with our fan base. Because
we should have got rid of him in January. If you did it in January, that should have been done. Not now.
Right. We said on this channel against, you know, the run of the grain, we said, get rid of him now. He must be gone. Okay, we're the minority. Great. We get to January. We even went on. I was on We Are Tottenham TV, and we said, sack Ange now and bring in another manager whilst we're still in the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, and Europa.
I agree. Then I would have agreed. Today, to me,
but hold on.
That's more to do in answer what Maz was saying, like how disappointed he felt today by not hearing the announcement.
Right, but the thing is, but this is the problem. This is what I'm trying to say. We said that, and we were told he deserves the cups. Give him a chance. But no, he doesn't deserve it. A manager that knows what they're doing deserves it. What are we talking about here? it was because of the performances, the results. He was causing some of the injuries, the mistreatment of Spence, the ostracizing of Mikey Moore. It was all of these things we were saying. And then we gave him the cups and he absolutely, he failed. And then we said, right, he's got to go now. He's got to go. Then the goalpost moved again. Give him the Europa. But he's shown you what he can do, and it's nothing. Now you've got the conversation. Sack him now. Put someone else in charge of Europe. It's the same conversation repeating itself. He's going to go and lose in Europe, whether it's this round or the next round. And then we're going to say, but we said
it's I think what makes it unbearable.
All I'm trying to say is like for you to
say, Iggy, but don't you think there's still a chance? Don't you think there's still a chance we could save that tie by putting a manager that gives it a fresh bounce?
Absolutely.
That gives.
Of course.
You don't. Yeah,
think so? I mean that's one of the reasons why he needed to go.
This is the argument.
In reference to your point, what's been almost unbearable. What's unbearable? I don't want to be over it, but what's been really
everything's unbearable at this club. Everything.
Is that I've wanted him gone from very, very early on, but we had a conversation at the end of last season when we said we need to see this play out, because by it playing out, it will wake up the fan base, galvanize everyone, which exactly what we said has happened, right? What no one's predicted, not even me, no one predicted was that it's going to have 103 cat lives instead of 9, right? And every week is a stay of execution. It's just like, just when you hope he's going to be sacked, he remained. And it's been like this for like 3 months. It's been like this since Christmas, basically. And it's just like, I know Ian's frustration is how many times are we going to say the same thing over and over again? But I think we're all in the same position. Every channel, every analysis show.
But right now, though, Sky
Sports, no one expected him to survive this long. He should have been.
What is it about Ange, though, compared to any other manager we've had in the Tottenham's history under this ownership? What has it been about Ange that's made him survive where others couldn't?
I actually don't know.
Ian has spoken. Go on, Ian.
That is nuts, man. If you think of all the managers under this tenure, under his ownership, what's made this guy outlast all those other managers?
I don't think anyone knows, Iggy. I don't think anyone knows.
Because that's the number one question, why it's happened. And two, the second one is, it's yet another... A manager's failure is one thing. Cool. We can all agree there. But the failure of hiring him as massive... The person that's hired, Ange Postecoglou, has massively need to take accountability for it, because this has been an absolute flop. The way we criticize clubs when they sign a player who ultimately becomes an absolute flop, where he bombs massively, okay, then you think to yourself, the manager gets sacked on the basis of that. 2 or 3 players have been absolutely bombed at that club. Because
it was lies. Who's getting project. Be patient. I mean, like, what? Why?
For hiring and firing these managers, every single of these managers have now flopped. Even Conte, even Mourinho. When you sack someone, that means he's failed. And who is responsible? And who is ultimately...
It means the chairman has failed. It means the board has failed. Do you know what?
At the end of the season, any line of business, sorry, sir, and I'll conclude. In any line of business, in any walks of life, if you had objectives at the beginning of whatever project, a target, at the beginning of your campaign, you had a target, and you bombed that target, you absolutely flop. You are dismissed, or you get removed, or whatever. Like at Spurs is the only business that you like that when an objective has failed, a project has failed over and over again. This season, man, even for Tottenham Hotspur, guys, this has been a massive, massive flop. Who at the end of the season is going to be accountable? And don't want to hear just Ange Postecoglou, because that's a given. Postecoglou should go because he has bombed massively. 17 league defeats, on course of making it 20. We are part of the relegation battlers in terms of form. Like, when was the last time you seen Spurs play well as a team, like from beginning to end? You know, and how many times you've seen that this season? So he's failed. I agree. There's players there that have failed massively, but above all, who has failed in putting these guys in this place? Whoever hires the five managers. I don't know, man. You guys answer.
Let me come to Lubo. I just want to do one quick super chat before the show goes on, because otherwise I don't end up doing them. Big up to Chris, who says, fun fact, Burnley were relegated from the league in 21-22 with 17 defeats. And big up to Amzo and to Henry Thong, channel members for quite a long time. Appreciate you both. Lubo, Iggy's question. Why has this manager not been sacked? Of all the managers we've ever had, of all the managers you want to stick by and back and give them the benefit of the doubt, this is the one Levy chooses to do it with. Why? Why this one? Why not Poch, Conte, Jose, even Nuno? Why this guy?
I think it's very simple. I think the answers are very simple. I've had this conversation with a few people today. I was talking with Johnny, and Johnny was trying to think outside the box. How come, you know? And I said to him, it's simple and it's logical. His figures came out last year. He'll know what his figures are. They'll be doing quarterly audits, I'm sure, through the year. So they'll know where they stand through the year before the figures come out 9 months after the end of the year. They have made last year, in fact, up to June 30, 2024, they made £144 million operating profit. What he's filling the ground. There's 61,000. Okay, I think it was 58 the other night. There's 61,000 every single week. People are buying drinks, food, merchandise in the shops. They're taking the, they're filling the grounds. What does he need to change for? What does he need to get rid of Ange for? Pay him a 10, 12 million pound compensation amount. There must be something in his contract that says if he doesn't get into Europe, then the compensation probably drops or goes to nothing. So he's sitting tight to the end of the season, at least, while he's making money. He genuinely
Lubo, that doesn't make sense.
He doesn't care. We've had 25 years of this. He doesn't care about the football. He cares enough. Hang on, still, let me finish. He cares enough to make it semi-competitive so the fans keep rolling in. And that's where he's at. Now, what he's going to do now, he says he's had good staff that he's managed to lose through the years, like Paul Barber, like Michael Edwards, like Paul Mitchell. He's had good managers like Redknapp, like Poch. He's had Conte, he's had Mourinho. And he's had Harry Kane, Prime, Sonny playing together that have carried the team through difficult years since the club joined, since we moved into the new ground. It's now stopped. The safety nets have all gone. He brought Munn in. I mean, what a disastrous decision that was, based on Munn's decision to bring in Ange. And what is the Lewis family doing, sitting there watching Levy crash the football side? Maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't care because they're making money. The whole thing is about making money. It's not about football. And as long as everybody realises that, we all understand what's going on at Spurs.
But Lubo, this is my counter to what you're saying. It is about money. We all agree. We all agree on that. If he sacked Ange and brought in a decent manager that could win the Europa, that gives him Champions League money, which is minimum £70 million next season. And if you do well in that, it's up to 150 million. So you're trying to suggest that they're waiting for Ange to flop because the compensation will be £10 million less. But if we're successful, it's a guaranteed 70 million on the upside. So why would you not pay the 10 million, get rid of him, bring in a manager that can win this competition? Do they not want to take that risk? Are they worried that they're going to pay Ange? The new guy comes in and he fails as well. Is that the thinking?
They don't take any risks. They're totally risk averse. Now that might be crazy, but if you're looking at it, and you've made an operating profit of 282 million in the last 2 years. You might get in the Champions League by winning the Europa. You might not. There's no guarantee. They're not prepared to take that risk. You know.
Well, if you win the Europa, it's a guarantee you're in the Champions League. You're in.
But there's no guarantee we win the Europa if they brought another manager in. That's how they look at it.
Do you think our owners think Ange can win the Europa? Do you not think they believe Ange can win the Europa? They think by stick. Do you think that they made a mistake sacking Mourinho before a cup final and they lost the cup final? So now they're thinking, let's not do that again. Let's stick with him in case he wins it. Do you think there might be that train of thought going through their heads?
Do you know what? With this ownership, it's very hard to know what they think. I don't know what the think process is. I don't know, man. All I can tell you that watching Spurs at the moment is thoroughly painful at best of times. And you know, it's just such a directionless club. A fan base that's completely disunited and has been for it has been for a long time. And I honestly, I don't know. Like, I don't know what we're doing. You know that I was, not just in terms of watching the game on Sunday, but just I was saying it as well. I don't know what we're doing, but just as a club as a whole for the last sort of 5-10 years, man, I'm like, what the fuck are we doing, man? What are we doing? What is it we're trying to? What is the aim here in terms of football? Because I honestly don't know. I understand what Ian's just said, and that's been clear from day dot. You know, Daniel Levy said it. You know, it was a business opportunity that he saw to make money, and you know, he's never ever, you know, moved an inch from that side. We knew exactly what it was all about. But in terms of as a football club, how we've allowed it to get to this point is beyond me. And you're right what you said yesterday. If you'd been anywhere else in one of the big European clubs, even in England and Man United and Liverpool and so forth, he would have been absolutely lynched for this. There's no ways. But at Tottenham, he has found something that probably he could never have imagined. Where 25 years on, he's still here to tell the story. So yeah, totally. You made a valid point yesterday on that, and absolutely a right one. 25 years
for anyone that didn't see what I said yesterday, because Iggy's talking about something that was said yesterday, I said that the fans of this club, a section of this fan base, I don't want to say everyone, are complicit in this, because any other club in the top 5-6, Portugal, Spain, Greece, Italy, Germany, you name it, England, if what was happening at Spurs was happening at their clubs, that ownership would be gone. The fan revolt would be on a different level. But for some reason, Levy caught life. He inherited one of the most placid facilitators of this problem. I don't know why our fans are like this. I don't know why. We weren't like this with Sugar and Scholar. But our fans now, I don't know what it is. There's a fear. There's an uncertainty in fans to do anything, you know.
I must tell you so. I as you know, I travel away quite a bit, and I've been at just this season, Forest, Rangers. You know, these fans are terrific. I mean, look at Frankfurt last week. Very simple. You've all got a scarf. You all wave it above your head, and you make a noise. It looks terrific. It really lifts the team. Just a simple thing like this. And you look at the South Stand. When did the South Stand ever get behind the team? Like a lot of away other clubs do. I feel sick, to be honest, watching it sometimes. I mean, you got Anfield coming up. You know, what a ground. It was fantastic. You know, just listening to the Liverpool fans, the atmosphere they created before that semi-final second leg.
But Lubo, give us something to get behind. Like, we were there when we beat Arsenal 3-0 and Conte was manager. That stadium was unforgettable. Before, during, and after was unforgettable but we were given something that we could get behind. We believed we were going to beat them. We believed we were going to beat them to top four. And Conte Conte was planting the seeds. You better turn up this time. You better turn up. It was, we thought, we can get into them. Whereas now, you go to the games, you're like, I don't fucking know what I'm going to get. And do you know what? I hope we just don't get spanked. What kind of that's how we feel as fans. And rightly so, because we lose every week.
We've been in the ground 6 years since the Palace game. The second game, the game after Palace, was Man City at home in the Champions League. The atmosphere that night was amazing. Fantastic. That night at Arsenal were the only 2 nights that live up to what I've been part of. In
most recent times, I agree. But Ian, if you remember, when Antonio joined, you remember it was a Europa League game, and we'd only had the bottom of the stadium sold. The top was empty.
We won 4-3, didn't we, that night?
Yeah. Upon him signing, though, we managed to sell out that night the whole stadium. We'd given tickets to schools and stuff like that, and Levy went and retracted all those tickets back when he hired Conte just to get everyone in the stadium. But what he created in that time was a unison within fans, team, manager. There was a massive unison in that time. That's why we went on to do what we did. But that's the past. This manager has added to the divide. Do you understand? I'm not. Levy is certainly accountable for his part in it, but he's added to this. All Postecoglou has done. He's divided himself with the fan base because he's completely in disagreement. The cupping against Chelsea, cupping of the year. So he's created his own divide within the fans. A team that not just against Wolves, we've seen it in a few matches even before. At Leicester City, I remember that was the last match. I remember that was quite vividly with players themselves. They are not responding to his way of playing. The only time that I saw something, I have to say, was the home game against Frankfurt, and that's because I believe that they, in comparison to the league games, I saw something. I saw at least a team. They fought. I have to say, I didn't see. Listen, I'm not sitting here saying it was the most amazing match I've ever seen in my entire life. What I'm trying to say is, in comparison to what I've seen in the league, I saw something in that Frankfurt day. But it's too little. It's too little to nothing. And it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. And
every dog has its day. You know what I mean? Every team, regardless of the manager, has a spells in games where they look decent or something works. This is why I hate the argument when people say, "Oh, when he gets his players right, things will work out." Oh, we did good in this part of the game.
That's long gone now. Everyone's been back from injury for a while.
No, I know that's what I'm saying. Like good managers respond to bad situations or when things that aren't going well. Conte, and we keep harping on about Conte, but he was one of the best managers we've ever had, right? Managed to get a team that wasn't very good by past comparisons to the teams we had in the past, but still managed to bring them forth. And the way he did that was he made them defensive, because that was the only way he could guarantee that we were going to win more games, than we would lose or draw. And it worked. He was up to fourth. And before he got sacked, we were on the cusp of getting third, right? With a really poor Tottenham team. Now, I agree with everyone. At times, his football wasn't pretty. And certain moments,
I'll say more than that time. I'd have to say that for large parts, it wasn't pretty.
In the second season, in the first season, I thought the team were playing fantastic. Now, the reason why I wanted Conte in was because I could see where he was going. You could see that with a
there was a pattern. There was a pattern that we haven't seen at all under Postecoglou.
Absolutely, right. And with quality additions that he would have enabled us to take that next step, but we never backed him. And with Postecoglou, there is no progress. It's regression. Not only that, the players he's even bought himself have regressed.
Yeah, the team has clearly regressed massively.
If Ange Postecoglou had Chicken Royale at right back, Ben Davies at left back, Dyer and Romero in centre back, Fraser Forster in goal, a double pivot of Højbjerg and Skip, and then Kane, Son, and who else do we have at the time? I don't know.
Kulusevski right wing.
Kulu. Where would we be with that midfield and defence? Where would we be with Ange?
The thing is, he tried to
probably 17th.
He tried to solidify the defensive, but the way Ange Postecoglou plays in gung ho attack with a back line like that, we would have been finished, man. If we're struggling with these players in the spaces that we leave the gaps behind us. Now with Dyer, Emerson, and Longley, with all those gaps behind them, we'd be absolutely finished. Yeah, we'll be finished. Well, no, it wasn't
the 6 and the 8.
We'll be finished. We'll be absolutely finished. And listen, there's no way. The thing is, you know what? After those sort of 10 initial games where we went unbeaten, we didn't win all of them. We went unbeaten. Like teams figured us out, man. In the Premier League, in the good leagues, teams figure you out. And once they have, you know what the funny thing is? In that whole time that he's been in charge, we have offered nothing else other than what he set out to do. Is play the same way, keep doing the same things, keep making the same mistakes over and over again. The goals that we conceded are repetitive and the same. And there's and also the patterns of play that we have. Where are they? I don't see ever a pattern of play. The only pattern that I've seen the same over and over again is when that our left-sided player takes it to the byline, cuts across, and Johnson comes in and smacks it in the back of the net. That's the only pattern that I've seen in terms of scoring goals over and over again, because Johnson's on 16 goals, scoring at least 10 of them in the same way. But apart from that, guys, in midfield, where are the patterns of plays? In the forward lines, in the movements, the coexisting. I don't ever see a team, like we saw the Legends game. We were talking about the movements that those players, Lennon, Keane, Defoe, they remember those movements, and we saw some patterns of it when they were attacking. Do you remember they even spoke about it? Said we still, after all these years, remember certain movements that we learned. We learned, in that team at that time. That this is what I'm talking about. They remembered it from 20 years ago and plus. And here, after 18 months, we're not seeing absolutely anything, nothing. And you know what? The stubbornness to keep doing the same things over and over again is what. How the fuck do you Do you keep doing the same things? Like, at least we've had stubborn managers before, but at least they've had a pedigree to say, you know what? We do it this way because it works. We've tried it and tested, and we've won everywhere with this. But this guy just keeps doing it, and when you question him, he bites back. So I don't know, man. I just think it's an absolute absolute shit show. It really.
Iggy, just look at some of the comments. One of the comments.
Dysfunctional family is probably the correct.
Yeah, it's apathy with the fans. It is. By the way, Al, I was at Bolton for that Division 2 game. I think we lost 1-0. It may have been a penalty, I think. And I'm not going to Liverpool, and I'm not going to Frankfurt. To answer your question, I don't understand our fan base.
I've converted him.
Conte took us to fourth, kept us at fourth. People are moaning about his football. Do they want winning football, or do they want the sort of rubbish we've been watching, where you get one attack every 50 or 60 or 100 that might come off and looks fantastic, but the rest of the time it's hopeless. I just don't get it. As a fan, I want Spurs to win. If I come away and that it's been a crap game but we won, I'm delighted, and I'm much happier that way than if I go and see an entertaining game and we've lost. So for me, it's about the team winning. It's always been about the team winning. They haven't broken me, believe me. They haven't broken me. I've just cut. Sometimes you've got to look at situations, and I can go and it's blind faith I'll be at West Ham and I'll probably be at Villa. But Liverpool, I've been once this season. Thank you very much. Do I want to go up and see him go and see him win the Premier League? No,
Well,
I've seen that once
the
before.
irony.
I've seen that once before at Anfield. Don't need to see it again. And Thursday, Jesus, I mean, we're going into that game on the worst run of form I can remember. Seriously, 20 years. It's been dreadful. I mean, maybe the first 8 games of Ramos's last season, 08-09, before Harry came in, when Levy left in Fraser Campbell as his front man. But it's dreadful. It's just dreadful. Yeah, it was. It was Burnham Park.
Do you know what, Ian? What's amazing? Like, with what we're seeing, is the not knowing when it's all going to end. It's like there's no date set to say you've got to endure this for another 12 months, or this is going to be happening for another 12 months, and it's all over. This can go on for another fucking 5 years.
It won't,
because
it won't.
Not until those 2,000 fans, which is a great amount, until those 2 starts becoming 5, then 10 and 15, and at least get it to a number respectable enough to say, do you know what? Hang on a minute, the numbers here have risen massively. But until you have 60 plus thousand fans entering the stadium, and a small percentage of it, and like I said, 2,000 is a great number, but in comparison to the amount of people that go into that stadium, that means that we're nowhere near there. That's what I'm trying to get at, and we're nowhere near there. And I'm thinking, if we're nowhere near there now, after all these years, how long is it going to take before we're there? And
this is what I was saying to you guys earlier.
At this
rate,
what I'm saying. At this rate, man, they're going to be there for another 10 years.
Levy could not have purchased a business with a more rewarding customer base than us. He cannot turn the customers against him, no matter what he does. Yeah, there's 2,000 of us on the high street. Maybe the next protest there'll be 4,000. But there's 62,000 that walk into that stadium, and we've got what, 2% outside?
Yeah, so, but I think you're being. I'm gonna disagree here. I think you're being overly critical of that. I mean, if you look at it from percentage terms, what we've 10x'd it, you know.
No. I'm not cussing. I'm not cussing the 2,000 because I said that was great. It was great.
No, but let me finish my point. Right? It's you don't need like 10, 20, 30,000 people to make a difference. You just, I don't know what the exact number is, right? But if it carries on progressing and growing, and it's sustained, and the numbers do grow, and let's say we get it to 4,000 or 4,500 or 5,000, that may be enough. There'll be a tipping point. That may be enough, right? What I think is key is
why is it enough? Because Levy's still making the money.
I said it may be enough. It may be enough.
Let me change it in another way. Let's say those 2,000 people. Just quick, hear me out. There's 2,000 people. Not every one of those 2,000 people went to the stadium. So maybe half of those just turned up just to protest, not to go inside the stadium.
Yeah, that's true.
But let me switch that and say, what have this? Let's just say, for example, all those 2,000 people were going in the stadium that were protesting. Okay, let's just say that. So 62,000 people. What are the 60,000 seeing that? What are the 60,000 seeing that the 2,000 aren't?
I understand your point. However, right, we said at the start of the show that the consensus across all of the channels now is that there's a systemic problem at Spurs. A lot of people, right, fine, they might not be protesting, but have woken up to the fact that Daniel Levy and the board are a massive, massive problem at Spurs, which is why we're going through this endless cycle, right? That's if a year ago, right, that wasn't the case. Within this past year, Ange has done a bloody good job in waking everyone up to that fact. right? So we have to give it time. Look, we've discussed this to death, guys, a million times, right, about the protests and everything. But we're on a trajectory at the moment, or we're on a path, right? And we have to see what happens. It's not going to go from 0 to 100 like the other clubs. So that's where I agree with Stel. We are a passive fan base, but I think it will grow. I do. I've seen enough from the last protest, right, which were all there, right? That will tell me that it will grow as time goes on. Well, that's what I think anyway.
If you break it down, you got 61,000. Take 3,000 out from the away fans, and take 8,000 out of corporates. You're left with 50. You got 42,000 seasons.
Why are you taking the corporates out? They're fans.
No, but they're not going to be outside. I don't see it. I just don't see them being outside.
They're paying the most money for this. They're paying the most money for this.
A lot of it,
they won't be outside.
A lot of it's business.
Hold on, guys, 1 second. Ian, 1 minute. You say that. I had a developer come to my dad's house to assess the plot, to consider whether he wanted to buy it and develop it. And him and his son came, both Spurs fans. We got talking, and turns out they're Spurs fans. They went nuclear on Levy without knowing that I had a channel or what I thought about Levy. They went nuclear on him in front of me. And I was just sat there thinking, yeah, I'm loving this. They've got a lot of money, these two, and they're corporate holders, and they despise the man. Don't write off.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that a lot of people.
No, what I mean is, there's people with a lot of money that have got corporate boxes that don't want him there anymore.
I know.
So I don't think we should just say.
I used to be in the corporate boxes, and I know what everyone's like. There's a lot of. I agree with you. There's a lot of corporate people that dislike Levy. That doesn't mean they're going to turn out for the protest, though.
Well, then they're part of the problem.
Well, yeah, to a certain extent, yes, they are.
We need thousands out there at the Palace at the Palace game. People have got to make the efforts. Otherwise, there's no point in them complaining about what we've got. What we've got, he has taken us from 5th. Is it 15th we are now? He's taken us from 5th to 15th. How can anybody be happy with that? Seriously, I just don't think people care enough.
Right, let me show you something and tell me if this is not the. Let me show you something and tell me if this is not the problem. Okay, and then we'll get Michael in as well. Right, this was on socials and someone sent it to me today. Watch everyone getting excited again this summer when rumours of a new manager and new players. We will never learn. It will never change under this ownership. Only Levy and Enoch win no matter the scenario. Fan loyalty exploited to the maximum, sad and painful. So he's directly blaming the board. He's calling out them for exploiting the fan loyalty, but he says everyone's going to get excited again and the merry-go-round begins again. What is stopping that? See, that's what has to stop. When Ange goes and the next manager comes in and we get told that, we're reshuffling the corporate decks and we're going to have a different strategy of recruitment, that's when people have to say, no, bullshit. What's going to stop us? What's going to stop the fans from jumping on the next hamster wheel, which always ends up with the hamster flying off the wheel and everyone's just arguing with each other? What's going to stop that from happening in the summer?
By channels like us and everyone and all the other channels now sending out the right message. That's what we've been doing for the last 6 years, and it's got us to where we are now.
Well, look, it's good that Ricky's on board now. It's good that Sachs is on board.
Well, yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Because that's another voice in the community that's saying enough. So,
spoke well.
You need more though.
News spoke very well today.
He called out the board proper, which was excellent.
Even Simon Jordan called out the board today on the things. He's even changing. I think he's realised that Levy's fucked it. And for Simon Jordan to, I know he flip-flops. I know
he'll be the one in the summer saying, well, look, they've brought a new manager in. It's much more exciting. And
yeah, of course
he'll flip.
But what I mean is even him, the Levy's mate, right, has said nothing's going to change as long as Daniel Levy operates the club the way he's doing with the wage structure. He says that today. I'll send you the video. Look at it on TalkSport. He said that today. Now, a lot of people
look at this. The wages. Spurs have spent 144 million less on wages than the Big Six average this year. Our wage to revenue ratio is 18% lower than the other Big Six this year. Since moving to the new stadium, 5 years we've been there, our total wage spend is close to 600 million, less than all the Big Six average. And guys, this was the game changer. This was the game changer, remember?
Do you remember what I said before Ange came in the summer?
I'll come to you next.
Right? I said, right, now that they're building the hotel, the first thing they're going to do, right, is cut the wages to improve their cash flow, because you need cash when you're doing infrastructure projects like that. It's exactly what's happened 2 years later. But don't worry, still, we're only 4% down from last year, so everything's fine. We should celebrate the fact. All right, Levo? 4%, mate.
Maz, the operating profit was 4% up. Went from 138 to 144.
Yeah, I know, but overall, the overall P&L is down, isn't it?
Well, listen, it's just a question of how much you write off against those profits.
And we should be celebrating it, mate. We need to celebrate it, right?
Wonderful.
You know, we need to bow down to Levy and celebrate the accounts. Let's all get our ACCAs. We can all become chartered accountants, right? Let's just buy a few stocks, pretend we're traders, right, as well. You know, and then we're sorted. We're all happy.
Let me bring Michael in. Michael, good to have you on, man. How did you watch the game, by the way, or did you not bother? No,
I didn't. Fortunately, a bit of self-promotion here, but I had better things to do on Sunday. I proposed to my girlfriend. She said yes. So
hey, congratulations, man.
I'm in the soon to be married box. I'm getting mixed congratulations and
your future,
so, yeah,
Michael. You see Ian to the right, and Stell and Iggy. You see the lack of hair, and you see where I'm going grey. That's your future, mate.
I'm not married. Mine's hereditary. Mine's hereditary. Mine's genes are just natural.
Yeah. To be fair, my father is involuntarily bald too, so I don't know where will I go. My mother's family side is full blown hair at 70, and my father's side are all bald. So I just pray that this part of genetics I got from my mother, not the father.
All right. A trip to Turkey will sort that out. Don't worry about it.
I will embrace it.
Things have moved on now. Technology has moved on. The only thing that hasn't moved on is Tottenham Hotspur.
Iggy, I will embrace it. If I go bald, I will just shave it all clean off and grow a beard, and I will.
Facts.
Man, do the Conte. Do the Conte.
No, come on, man.
Do you know what? His team is winning 3-0 at the moment, and he just went mad. They conceded an opportunity to let them score one goal, and he lost his absolute shit against his own team. This one, it's mentality. This is why you pay top dollar. It's that.
What, you don't like this, Iggy? You don't like this, no? You're not happy with that, no?
This guy, man. This guy. I listen. What I don't like is his ethnicity has been brought into it. People slating about where he's come from and stuff. That things I don't like to see things like that. That's got nothing to do with football.
I told you don't put a Greek in charge. I said when it happened, don't put a Greek in charge.
Yeah, but you can't.
If it was the accounts, a fish and chip shop or a kebab shop, put a Greek in charge.
It's got nothing to do with that. That's bad still. It's got nothing to do with that. You just got to judge him for what he's doing on the football pitch. And
banter aside, it's true. We do it with Son as well. I hate when we do that. It's a nonsense.
We've spoken about Son getting stick for what he happened, but they're not the only ones. I'm sure there's many others that's happened to. That should never come into it. The bottom line is people should be judged on how they are on face value, and how they do on the job. And unfortunately, this guy has failed it miserably, man. But to have the balls to still be there, to not have any accountability for his lack of performances and results, to still be on the job, and how does this happen in modern day football? When a lot of clubs he would have gone ages ago, and here we are, man. We'll see. 3 days before Frankfurt. We'll see what happens there.
Michael.
Yeah.
Michael, you've got a lot of very happily married people in the comments tonight.
I'm reading the comment. It's like
Bryce has got the that's a brilliant comment.
No one's got if you had a channel full of women here, they all probably would have been excited for you, but blokes, no chance. Everyone's gonna be off. Fuck that.
Hey, I clapped. I gave him a clap. I was happy for you.
I gave Michael my stone cold face.
Thank you guys. Like
so heartless. So heartless.
No, come on, start ask me some questions about Spurs, because
no, far away.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I was happy yesterday. Now I need to be miserable again. By the way, funny thing, right? I proposed like literally 5 minutes before the game started, right? I had like everything, my phone on mute and all that stuff, right? But I forgot to mute the SofaScore, pop-ups, right? I literally, I bend the knee and show the ring, right? All that stuff. It takes 10 to 15 minutes, like, kisses, whatever, right? Then I take my phone out and I see 2-0 to Wolves. I'm like, fuck that. I switched off my phone completely. Just, airplane mode.
Yeah. When you're happy, excited, like Spurs have a way of bringing you straight back.
But Mike, you proposed. You made sure you proposed
character building.
Iggy, Michael got his proposal in before kickoff. I mean,
that tells you everything you need to know, man.
Imagine proposing to the love of your life. She says yes. You have a little glass of champagne. Then you look at your phone and it says Jed Spence own goal.
Oh, shit all over your day.
Tottenham own goal.
I can only imagine the F-bombs that Michael was dropping when he saw that.
No. I didn't even mention it. But also another funny thing, right? Because after we finished, with the dinner, flowers, all that stuff, right? We came back to the flat and I showed my girlfriend the stream that you did like 3.5 hours or something like that, right? And she was like, these guys of yours, they always say the same thing, because sometimes she listens to what we say. Always the same thing. You guys repeat the same thing for a year. Like, aren't you bored of it, right? And I turned the stream on, right? And literally tell us after 5 minutes, it's all the same shit. We always say the same thing. I'm like, yeah, boys, I know.
It's true. It's true.
But it's true. I tell her the same thing, right? We knew what we were standing on a year ago, right? And we know what we are standing on right now, right? I don't think there is a point in berating this manager more and more and more. Like, I can't find anything. No, sorry.
Exactly. What more can one say?
There is no point berating him more and more and more.
Sorry, Mas. I've said it the wrong way. What I meant is that I really can't find anything more to berate him about, right? I meant it that way, right? So I can't find anything new because we are conceding 4.
I can. I mean, let me give you some new things. Ange thinks, Michael, that it's unusual for the players to make mistakes in his system. Very unusual. Also, has he found the leak? Because I just want to know, once he finds the leak, is the losing going to stop?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same thing with injuries, same thing with I don't know, the rain, the pitch was wet, the ball was I don't know, like
I don't know what more one can say that we haven't covered.
What club has a press conference and we're talking about there's a leak in the club? We've got a leak, there's a mole. What club does this? Have you ever heard the football club? Have you ever heard the football club? Mate, you know what? That's when you start losing the plot. That's when you start losing the plot.
You know what?
Still, do you think he looked at Arteta when he blamed
deviation,
the
mate? It's called deviation.
Right? Do you think when he saw Arteta blaming the shape of the ball and all of that in the rain and all of that, he thought, you know what, I'm going to take this a step further? Do you reckon that's what he thought?
It's
Boys,
the art of deviation, man.
Compare compare this fallout that we have with Ange to Conte, right? At least Conte chucked a grenade at the club, right, and decided to burn it all down and just leave with the explosions behind him.
Conte told everyone to fuck off. Yeah. Fuck you.
Michael, Conte.
This guy is just
set
finding
a grenade, Michael. But he set
Mike,
a
do
grenade
you remember
by telling
when
the truth.
Arteta did what he did? How he went for him as well. Arteta, he goes, you lot needs to still come to White Lane. He was getting begun as a runner. Do you remember all of that?
He goes, you better turn up this time. Let's hope they turn up
this time. He'd already got in his head, and we missed that, man. We missed that because it's like, we was like, come to White Lane. Now we're telling teams, enough, man. You're coming over here. Killing us.
Look at what Conte did to Tuchel.
Well,
you know what I mean?
This is us now. This is us now. Gaps
that number
everywhere.
9 will go on to score.
One-on-ones. Easy through balls. Tap-ins in front of the goal.
There's no way. You know, look at the space.
This is Tottenham.
That number 9, it's just like, he can't believe it. That number 9, right? He's looking at the guy and he's thinking, just play it across the. And the thing is, he hasn't even got to work hard to like play it. It's just.
Do you know what? I go back to Lubo when he was on Last One on Spurs many weeks ago, and he had a back and forth with a journalist, and Lubo was saying, "This manager's rubbish. He's absolutely awful." And Lubo's just, and all these pictures just confirm it. And you do have fans, and they're allowed to saying, "No. You know, trying to defend it and give it more time." And you look at these pictures, and it's just. Does no one see what Lubo was trying to say? You know, what we've been trying to say, what Sav's been saying, what Box Office has been saying, what Dan's been saying, what this channel's been saying. It's just it's crazy how people see something different is so weird with this manager.
It shouldn't be like that. After 2 seasons in charge, we shouldn't be seeing a team so disjointed in the way that we were. Even
Iggy, we haven't improved one bit. We haven't improved.
We've gone the other way. The worst thing about it is that we've gone the other way. It's not about improving. We've gone down the other way.
Worse. Yeah, we have. We've got worse.
You know, I think what's more frustrating for me, right? Because there are fans that are just deluded, right? And they think that Ange is the guy to bring the glory, whatever, right? But if they stick to what they say, right? Just good on them. Like I hope they enjoyed their life. I think they are wrong, whatever, right? I think that the thing that absolutely infuriates me is the people that say that Poch was talking about the painful rebuild, and this is the painful rebuild, right? I will keep saying this, right? I think Poch meant that the pain in the painful rebuild was supposed to be a sore back and a cough and maybe a headache, not 32 stab wounds to the chest and involuntary anal sex, right? Because that's what we are going through. This is
that's brilliant. I'm going to use that. I have to use this.
This is the worst part for me, right? Because people think
it's an assassination attempt.
Yeah,
it's an assassination.
People think that we are at the bottom of the V, and what's going to happen next is the glory days. It's not, right? I think it's just pure delusion. I think it's just pure blindness to what's going on around them, right? It's not a rebuild. No rebuild takes 2 years under a manager, and you go from 8th, if you want to count the beginning of Ange's tenure, which was 8th, to 15th, right? Like no painful rebuild should see a club go from 8th, which was like bad but not tragic, right, to the worst lose percentage in the history of the club, right? And one of the worst seasons ever in the history of the club, right? It's not a painful rebuild. It's a disaster. It's just painful. An assassination. Yeah, it's just painful. It's just pain. It's just pain. It's not painful rebuild. It's just pain, right? It's just pain. Like this is what infuriates me the most, because like I see people on Reddit and other like forums, right, and they still defend this crap, right? Because changing a manager doesn't change anything. We need to go through the painful rebuild. No, the chance for a rebuild is gone. It's 2 years, 2 seasons under this manager. It's done, right? This guy is not competent enough to go to oversee a rebuild, right? We already failed at that point. We need to start again, unfortunately, right? I know people are tired of starting again, but we need to start again. Bloody hell! And by the way, changing the manager doesn't reset the rebuilding part completely, right? like we still got a lot of draws out of the club, right? We still have a lot of young players. A new manager can like maybe it sets you back a bit, but a new manager can come in and improve on. Like it's
Michael,
not hard to
we need to
It's
hold
not
on
hard
to some good players as well, though. I think Madison Romero are going to try and engineer an exit this summer.
Yeah, Romero, for me, Romero is 100% gone, especially after that Wolves performance. What I saw because I saw the highlights and I saw a lot of you guys and other channels talking about his performance, the way he just didn't give a flying F, the way he was lackluster, lazy, and the fact that he walked down straight to the tunnel. I don't think his head is in it anymore. And I agree with you. I think Maddison might want to change the club if his wife allows him to, because like his wife made him come to London, right? So maybe she won't allow him to leave. But but my worst fear, and this is something that I really try to fight against, is that some of our fans are seriously lowering the level they think our players are on, some of the players that are struggling in the system, right? Because I see plenty of people berating Poro, berating like Vicario, berating Madison even, right? Berating other players where yes, maybe they aren't like title challenge worthy, but they aren't as bad as people make them out to be. And I already see plenty of people saying we should get rid of Poro, just rip up his contract, whatever, right? I still think he's a quality player. It's just that the system is an absolute abomination of a system, right? It's one of the worst systems I have ever saw in football, right? And this is exposed, and it's exposing our players. All the flaws that can be exposed are being exposed by the system, right? And people can't separate that from quality of the player, right? And I seriously fear that we will lose some of those good players that we still have in the club, like Poro, like Kulusevski, like Madison, like Van de Ven, like Udogi. Udogi, I think he's okay, in my opinion. He's not the greatest thing out there, but I think he's a good player that can be molded into something good, better, right? Whereas I think the fan base is half done with the entire squad, right? So I just
our young players need a coach.
Yeah,
they need a coach. That's they don't have one. That's the big sticking point. By the way, HJC, big up for remembering this. Happy Gaza free kick day. Yeah. I was there.
I was there.
Good times, man. Those were good times being a Spurs fan. They were brilliant times.
We went up and the whole row ended up in the row behind. It was just, the place just went mental. What a day that was. That was one of my best 3 days with Spurs. That gasket when we beat Arsenal 3-1.
That's the first time the FA opened up Wembley for a semi-final, because that's how big of a game it was. Because Arsenal and Spurs have never played each other at that stage in the FA Cup before. That was the biggest North London derby ever. That game.
That was
the biggest North London derby ever.
What a day! They only lost one game the whole season.
Yeah,
that year
they were on course for the double, if I remember correctly. Arsenal.
Yeah, they won the league. They won the league that year.
They won the league, and then one of them won the FA Cup, and Spurs stopped them that day. But that's it's just memories now, isn't it? It's like 14.
That's the year we became the record holders, the most successful club in England in the FA Cup. Eight times we were the kings of the cup.
That's also a thing of the past now as well. So it's
that's fun.
Do you know what? Do you know what? The point, to add to your point, Mike, is the quality. The good managers, okay. They put their players in the position to expose their strengths. This guy has managed to somehow expose everyone's weaknesses.
Exactly.
And that's
I just fear we will lose those players. I just fear.
Yeah, because who wants to? Would you want to play football and be exposed? Be exposed for your weaknesses. You might have 9 qualities. And you have one weaknesses. We'll have them, okay? And you get exposed. That weaknesses get exposed week in, week out. When just a tweak here and there would actually change. Listen, I don't think these players. I'm not saying they're Premier League champions, champion winning players. I'm not saying that, but they're not 17th, man. They are not. You can get a better tune out of these players. There's no two ways about that. We should be this team here, and I won't change my mind over it. This team right here should be making Europa League spots. It should. They should finish somewhere between 6th and 8th. That's the range that we got. They should be finishing in that 6 to 8 range. This is not a team that's 17th, man. So for me, a manager that exposes their strengths will get a better tune out of these lot, and we'll put them in a better place.
Problem is
at the moment, everyone's drowned. The manager's out of his depth. Players who are low in confidence. Look at the amount of defeats and the amount of the defeats. You're telling me confidence is not going to be draining out of their body. And of course, you're going to get players that are going to go straight down the tunnel. The fact they don't want to be around this toxic environment that's become now. Right now, all these players that you're talking about, Romero, Madison, and wherever, they can't wait to finish the league and just go set off to where it is, go international duty, whatever it is, anywhere as far away as Tottenham as possible. We as fans have had enough of watching this Spurs team playing. So why would you, as a player, not have enough playing in this system? The only way this can be turned around, and players like Romero possibly and Madison stay, if you get a manager that comes in and is an exciting name, who and maybe a football a director of sport that can come in and someone a bit dynamic, and then perhaps they can get re-galvanize the place a little bit. But unless that happens, forget it, man.
Does anybody trust this owner to make the right decision?
I think we've made that clear.
No. That's why I'm leaving out. That's why I'm reading out.
He's not a football person. That's the problem. And he won't bring in a football person. Munn's not.
Lubo, what do you make of this, by the way? Because you've mentioned it. We've brought in the ex-Arsenal man, Vini, and I've spoken to my Arsenal mates about this guy, and there's mixed feelings. Some say good riddance. Some say he did some good, but he just fell out with the owners. There was a power struggle. Some say that his fan engagement was really appreciated, and he really liaised with the fans a lot more and got them more involved. Others say that he didn't really bring anything to the club that affected the performances on the pitch. He was there for a very long time.
It has nothing to do.
Why have we done this? Why do you think Spurs have done this? What's the thinking?
Very simple. This is nothing to do with the football team. This is all to do with bringing in revenue. I mean, I had a chat with a good friend of mine who's a big Arsenal fan, who was totally underwhelmed by him during his stay at Arsenal, and he said he oversaw fantastic transfers like Mavropanos, was it? Is that the right pronunciation?
Mavropanos.
Yeah, and Kolasinac. I mean, it's, he wasn't sorry when he left, and he said, and he also told me that he did not bring in, Edu or Arteta. He said it was Kroenke that brought him in. I know there are some Arsenal fans on here. Maybe they'll know whether that information is correct or not.
Is he going to work? Is he going to work alongside Munn, or is he going to come in and replace Munn?
I think he'll replace Munn.
So the project's completely dead then. If Munn goes, this project is done.
Well, let's put it this way: Levy's employed Munn. The biggest decision Munn has to make for Levy is to select a manager, and the football side's crashed under this manager. So if you're Levy, you're looking at Munn, you're thinking, Jesus Christ. Your judgment is appalling. So if he's going to get rid of Ange, he's got to get rid of Munn, surely.
Who brought in Lange?
Munn did.
You see, Lange has got to go as well. His talent ID has been very, very, very. It's not the level that Paratici was. Paratici was actually half decent for us.
What does Munn do? Does anybody know what he actually does? I think he's spoken. He's come out. We've heard him quoted once. He makes
the prawn sandwiches in the West Stand.
The biggest issue all along with Spurs for many, many years has been the lack of communication with the fans. It's just been dreadful.
But that's what Vini was actually good at Arsenal. So I think he's coming in to be the voice of the board and to shake our hands, put on a nice face, and to make us think, yeah, we're connected to the club again. Basically, you know how the FAB, that fan advisory board, was supposed to be the connection, and it's been nothing short of a joke. I think Vini has come in with that mindset again, but it's going to end up... This will turn into a joke. This Vini thing, I can tell, is going to turn into a joke.
Who's accountable for all this shit, man? Who's ultimately accountable when things fail?
Levy. What do you mean?
Yeah, but these guys,
nobody at Spurs. There's no accountability at Spurs.
Like, you just guys spoke about Lange and Mann and all these people.
Here we are, mate.
What a lot of big corporations do where they have private ownership is, rather than them be self-appointed CEOs to grow the company, they will take a step back and appoint a CEO to run the day-to-day operations and long-term strategy. I say long-term, short to medium-term strategy of the company, and the owners will effectively become like executive chairmans of the corporation. So Levy's probably instilling this guy in to replace Scott Munn and run the footballing side of the business while Daniel Levy concentrates on trying to get an investment. That's what I think is going to happen. But if things go wrong, then Vini should be responsible rather than Levy.
A lot of the Arsenal
but
fans,
we won't know. The reason why I'm a bit hesitant about talking much about this is we won't know how the setup is going to work until we actually see it working. So what I would expect from Vini when he comes in is to effectively start releasing statements rather than Daniel Levy for the financial figures, for the strategy, for the club, etc., etc. So we'll have to wait and see.
Arsenal fans in the comments are telling us what Vino's all about.
Yeah, I know, mate. I don't know what else to say. I don't know anything about him. I don't know what he's going to do at Spurs. So I can't comment on. I don't want him.
No, I'm not saying you should comment. I'm saying they're telling us what he's about. He's another yes man from what they're saying.
Well,
they probably know him better than we do. So it's just.
Didn't we bring in some kind of investment banker with 20 years experience in finance onto the board recently as well? Sure, there was some expert we brought in as well.
Who gives a
that I read about. Yeah, I know. Who gives a shit? You're right. Who cares? Do you know what? Spot on, Iggy. Spot on.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, the person responsible for all of these appointments is Daniel Levy, and if it goes wrong, it's down to him. So he can put as many people in front of him as he wants. He makes the decisions, and the buck stops with him.
No, but you see look, I you know my feelings on Levy, but appointing a CEO is actually a step in the right direction for Levy, right? Because why
he won't let him do his job. He doesn't let anybody do their job. He's not going to change, Maz. The guy's 62. You don't change at the age of 62. Come on.
No, but you're missing that. You're arguing something different to what I'm saying, Ian. Right? Sure. He's by appointing a CEO to overrun the club, like he did with Barber when he was there. Right? That is a good thing because it removes Levy one step away from the football director. The football director, etc., etc. But whether or not that Vini guy is going to do what we want him to do is another question. And this is where I agree with you. Is Levy going to change? Is he Tiger doesn't change his stripes. I agree with you on that stuff.
Why did he leave Spurs, Paul Barber, and why has he been at Brighton for ages?
Because he knew he was never going to succeed with Daniel Levy out the fucking hell. Because Daniel Levy was interfering with what he was doing. That's why.
But Tony Bloom doesn't interfere. Tony Bloom lets Paul Barber get on with his job.
Yeah,
so that's the difference. Why is Levy going to be any different with Vini than he was with Paul Barber?
No,
guys,
I agree.
I spent a long time.
Hold on. I'm not trying to justify, right, Vini coming in, right? And I'm saying it's the right thing. All I'm saying is that in an ideal world, if Daniel Levy was a good CEO, this would be a good move. That's all I'm saying.
If Levy was a good CEO, he would have come in 25 years ago and he would have put a short-term, mid-term and long-term strategy into place. He would have got to know and tried to understand the football side, because this is football.
I agree.
And he hasn't done that. And he's made so many disastrous decisions.
I agree.
And he still hasn't learned. And we are in such shit at the moment.
But wasn't your point? You raised the point about Branson bringing in experts around him, right? So as soon as Daniel Levy brings in an expert, and I can't qualify this expert, I don't know anything about him. But as soon as he does, we're chastising him.
There's a difference, Maz. Branson brings in experts to scale the business. Levy brings in experts to scale the business. We need experts to scale the football. That's what Levy doesn't do.
Well, yeah, and this is where I agree with you. This is where I agree with you and Ian. I know that.
If Levy really,
that's why I'm waiting to see what happens, right? Because I'm not confident that anything's going to change.
If Levy really, really cared about the football, he would have said, "Okay, I need an elite academy director, and I need to get Glenn Hoddle involved somehow with this. I need him involved. I then need to get an amazing network of scouts that tap up Asia, Australia, India, Africa, Europe, North America, South America, and they relay back talent they've identified so that we can then make decisions whether we want to sign them or not. And I need to bring in a manager and back him and stand by him when the going gets tough. That's proven it works. And that guy was Poch. Poch proved I can make it work here.
Yeah.
And he had that choice, didn't he? When, we've said it 1,000 times. I think every channel in the world said it. Nice house, new furniture. And he made the decision. No. And from there on in, it's been a spiral of disaster. Look, whatever Levy does next, we know it's not going to work. We know he'll make the wrong decision. We know he's going to get it wrong.
For someone that doesn't like football, that's not
we'll be back
interested in football. Have you lot ever asked yourself why Levy's at every home and away game? Why does he turn up to these games? If he's only interested in the business side, why the fuck is he? Why is he there watching the games? He's not interested in football. So why is he there?
Do you think he's a bit involved with the squad and the team? Because in the Amazon documentary, he's always having breakfast with everyone. Do you think maybe he's that kind of a, what's the word when you're always worried what people think of you or what might be going on?
He's a micromanager. That's what he is. He's a micromanager. He can't let any aspect of Tottenham and its operations be left alone. He can't do it.
It's a control thing.
Why. Do you think it's FOMO, fear of missing out? I mean,
no, but if you're not interested in something, if you're only interested in numbers, which is fine, by the way. I'm not saying if the business side is what you're interested in. At the end of the day, if you're interested, all you care about is numbers. I wouldn't have to spend the whole day, waste my whole Saturday watching a game that I couldn't give two shits about.
Well,
because he doesn't do anything. He doesn't go to the games, see there's something going on that he's not happy about, then goes away to change it. He doesn't.
But here's the thing. Here's the dichotomy of what we're arguing about. We don't want him.
It's a good point he's made, That's a good point.
Right, listen, this is the dichotomy we're arguing about. We don't want him anywhere near the football, right? So if him instilling a CEO, right, to manage everything that he's doing and it puts Levy away from the football, surely that's a good thing. Assuming that the CEO is a football guy that cares,
which
about
he's not.
Winning.
And Vini is not.
Well,
he's not.
There we go. Well, then fine. Well, then that's
it's really. It's just I can't get my head. I was thinking about this the other night. Imagine being a restaurant owner and going to a restaurant, seeing the fucking kitchens in turmoil, the waiters serving the dining room is absolute fucking mess. The manager doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Everyone's disorganized, and you're there watching it week in, week out, and thinking, Just let it play on. But if all I care about is the money that's going in the till, then all I have to do is just read the receipts at the end of the day, guys. We've had a good night here. Forget how the shit's running. I'm caring about the numbers. That's what I'll be interested in. But to actually go to the restaurant and see this mess over and over again and just let it play out, why would you do that? Why, if I'm not interested in seeing all of that, I don't get why anyone would do that.
I think he's just waiting for a pretext to sack Ange. Like, listen, I know we think and we know that Daniel Levy is an incompetent football owner, right? But I don't think he's that stupid. Like, I always say this, right?
No one's saying he's stupid. No.
But you know, because like sticking with Ange with what's going on right now is like borderline stupidity, right? As a football owner, like he has to realize. Like, we can argue whether it impacts us financially that much or whatever, right? But I know that even for his own sake, keeping Ange puts more spotlight on him, right? So to save his own ass, to save his like own PR, it would be better to sack Ange as soon as possible. But I also think in his head, he has the whole Mourinho situation, right? I sacked Mourinho before the final. I got like plenty of shit for that, right? So now I'm not going to sack Ange. Like you guys, you as a fan base asked me to stick with managers, right? So I'm going to stick with manager until they can no longer win me anything, right? Which I bet you he knows that Ange won't win that Europa League, right? But it wouldn't surprise me if he does this like a bit in spite of the fan base, right? Or to spite the fan base a bit, right? You guys asked me to stick with managers. I will stick with this manager until he, like, I will give him enough rope
so
to do the thing,
it
right?
For us, Mike. He's doing it for us.
No. In spite, like to spite us, right? So basically, like you know, so we as a fan base, we asked him, why did you sack Mourinho, right? This was the most stupid decision. We want trophies. We want the chance to win the trophy. Why did you sack him before the final, right? So I think in his like sick and twisted approach, he decided, okay, you guys wanted me to stick with managers and not sack them before they before they exit all the cup competitions, right? And same thing with Conte. He got plenty of shit for sacking Conte, right? So right now he said, okay, you guys wanted that. Okay, I will stick with Ange as long as I can, right? As long as he's in a cup
That's
competition,
gonna hurt
I
the
will
business,
stick with
Michael.
the guy. Yeah, I know.
Michael, can you imagine the conversation end of the season? Levy's sitting down with Joe Lewis in the Bahamas. Well, Daniel, we're down 37 million on prize money for where we finish in the league. We don't have Europe next year, so we're probably £100 million down. But you know what, Joe? Doesn't matter because I kept the fans happy. Can you imagine him having that conversation? Come on. No, this is costing us by staying with Postecoglou. Levy is costing the club possibly anything up to £100 million. It's staggering. It's just staggering that a CEO goes every single match, watches this shit that's on display, is going to cost the club the best part of £100 million. Seriously? I don't ever want to hear anybody tell me he's a good businessman.
Do you know what the repercussion of no Europe next season? Okay, say we go out of Europa, no Europe next season, losing potentially our so-called best players, not knowing who the next manager is going to be, what players we're going to bring in with no Europe, and how long it may take us to get back into Europe again. The money, just the money alone for that would just be a continuous loss. It would in years to come. And listen, like I said, but the more I think about it, none of it makes sense to me, and it hasn't done for a long, long time. And you know what? I don't see, with all the confusion that I can really see from now, I don't see ahead of me where it all changes. I don't see it. I don't see when, like I said to you earlier, this went on for another 12 months. You said to us, look, It's going to be a tough year, but after the year, things will begin to turn. Yeah, I don't see any of that. I don't see where it's going to turn.
How
At
can
Tottenham
he sit
Hotspur,
there?
I don't see it.
How can he?
And I
sit
don't
there?
see the interest like you are, a diehard fan that's been a fan for a long, long time. But for the new fans, that they're in their teens or in their 20s, I don't see what their interest is to follow this team. I don't. What would be a young fan right now? And I mentioned my son earlier on, who was watching the game with me against Wolves. I don't see in him in 5 years' time why he would be watching a Tottenham Hotspur game. Why? He supports Spurs. He says he's a Spurs supporter, but he doesn't engage. So I'm thinking that disengagement would only increase if this shit carries on. And there's many people out there that've got, grandkids, kids, or whatever, or cousins, whatever. They know somebody's a Spurs fan, a younger generation. I don't see how they're going to be engaging with this club and this team for much longer. Because if we are disengaged and we are mature in age, I don't see the younger lot how they're going to carry on being interested.
The way football is now, it's changed because, I saw it when I was running my academy. Kids would normally support either the local team or whoever granddad, dad, mum, auntie, whoever supported.
Of course.
But as the game became global, online, digital, and whatnot, what I noticed was kids started turning up to training in Man City tops. Kids started turning up in Barcelona tops. Kids started turning up in Chelsea tops. I'm like, how are there Chelsea and Man City fans in North London? This is ridiculous. And what it is they grow up watching so much that we never got to watch as youngsters, with FIFA on the computer, replays on YouTube, training on YouTube, listening to podcasts, watching Sky, watching this, watching that. They make up their own mind now. They're not influenced by mum and dad. They're influenced by what they see and what their mates see, and their mates see the same thing. So it will happen eventually. If your team stops winning, you will lose a generation of fans. There's no doubt. They won't do it. They won't support the club that you supported.
Yeah, because they fall in love with football, right? The first person, I always say this, right? The first appeal for you supporting a club, at least it was for my case, you fell in love with a player representing what ultimately would become your team.
Yeah, that's right.
In my case, it was Gascoigne and other people. There's, might have been Jimmy
Harry
Green,
Kane,
it could have been Glenn Hoddle. Somebody would have made you support that team. Yeah, so somebody that a player played for that team, which made you follow before you know it. Yeah, before you know it, you follow that team for a season because that player played for them. And then all of a sudden, that player eventually moves on, but you've already fallen in love with that team and that club. That's how it starts. And if I don't see in this Tottenham, Harry Kane and Son are the last two. Okay, Kane's gone. Son is on his, he's on his way out.
There's no stars at the club anymore, Iggy. There's no stars.
There's no. Who's going to continue that legacy?
There's none.
If we're talking about losing our better players that we currently have in this shit team right now, even our better players are going to be moving on. Who's the young kid who's going to look at that Spurs player thinking, yeah, I'm going to... do you see where my mind is at? I'm thinking this is going to only get worse with no Europe, with this continuous demise, the decreasing in performance.
The only one potentially is Mikey Moore, but he's been ostracised. He's been completely...
Mikey Moore's not... The other day, you're telling him against Wolves, he couldn't have played that game. Kinski... Why did you need to play Vicario? You could have saved him for the Europa and give Kinski some Premier League experience.
To be fair, with goalkeepers, I think it's a bit different, right? Like
no, but Michael, all I'm saying is at this point of the season, with 2 Europa League games and Wolves sandwiched in between, give some experiences to these young lads. Mikey Moore, as they mentioned.
Hey, Mikey Moore, I completely agree with.
Play them.
We said this 4 weeks ago. We said for the last 10 games, why not give the kids a runner, let them play to see what they can do? We said this is the exact discussion we had. Do you know what? This is hilarious.
And Mike, and that's another thing. The young guys playing in the academy, what's the point? What's the point? You look at it, if I can't play these Premier League games now with nothing to play for,
what's the point of being a Spurs player? Like, seriously, ask yourself, like, put yourself in Van de Ven's shoes, right? And ask yourself, what the fuck am I doing here? Right? Like these players are self-aware, right? They know how good they are, right? Like Poron knows he's not as shit as what he and the whole team is showing, right? Same thing with Van de Ven, Madison. You can go through the whole team, right? They are self-aware. So at this point, like, I think majority of them would probably want to be somewhere else right now, right?
We would rather be somewhere else.
Yeah, and this is also something that we say about the players, that we no longer even have in the team. We no longer even have someone who is willing to die for the badge, right? We no longer have fans of the club playing for the club, right? Because like I'm going to use an example, and don't take me wrong, right? But Eric Dyer, right, as shit as he was, right, as absolutely garbage of a player as he was for like 3/4 of the career he's had at the club, right? Because like first 2 or 3 years was actually quite okay, but from that point onward he was shit, right? But as shit as he was, at least like he loved the club and he loved playing for the club, and he was giving his all. It wasn't much, but he was giving it his all, right? At this point, like, does Bentancur care that he plays for Spurs? Like, does Romero care?
Eric Dyer was shit, Michael.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said, right? He was completely like garbage, right? I wanted the guy gone, right? But at least I could give him the fact that he wanted to play for the club, right? I think vast majority of the players we have right now, they wouldn't mind switching in a heartbeat, right? Not all of them will, because
but you know, Michael, do you know the problem with this? Do you know the problem with this? Not only is this one of the worst managers we've ever had, the players came out recently and said, we're with Ange, and if he goes, then we've got a problem. It's like they didn't want to say that for Conte, a winner. They didn't want to say it for Mourinho, who'd won the lot. But when it came to Ange, we're crumbling, we're crumbling. We're with Ange. Even the players have lost the plot. Even they're deluded.
They've probably been told to say that. Still,
Michael, do you know when the players came out and said that? I actually said to myself, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Players
I've never seen this before in all my life. I've never seen anything like this.
Still, I bet you they've been told to say that. Players are no idiots. They know if something's right or if something's wrong.
What they've been told, just go and lie to the media. Just you must lie.
I wouldn't be surprised if they've been told to stay out of anything controversial.
Then they've got the club they deserve as well. We say it to fans, right? The players have got the club they deserve.
I'm not saying it's happened, but these players have played it in an absolute shambles and chaos for the last 18 months, and they're coming out and saying it. Really? These players are ambitious. They want to win trophies. They want to win medals. Really? You got to question it. You got to think, why?
Do you know what? Talking about trophies and medals, because we're going to wrap up in about 5-10 minutes. Let's have a quick, brief chat about Frankfurt away. So, it is not beyond the realms of possibility that Spurs knock out Frankfurt. I'm not saying that's going to happen, because when we do our predictions, I'm telling you now, I think we're out. But it is possible. It's only 1-1 in the tie. Anyone can win it. You know, they could miss all their chances, have a shit night at the office, and we put one in the back of the net, or it goes to penalties and Vicario redeems himself from yesterday. Anything's possible. The odds are heavily stacked against us, though, after that fucking performance. And our away record has been pretty shambolic this season. And like we said earlier on, we haven't beaten any of the decent teams we've played in Europe this year. Roma, Rangers, Galatasaray, Frankfurt. We haven't beaten any. Their atmosphere is very hostile. We've seen what their fans are like. We don't like that atmosphere. It's Anfield all over again. They're going into the game tomorrow in good form. They won 3-0. Yes, it was against a low team in the German league, but we lost to a low team 4-2. So we're going in off a defeat. We're going in with a lot of players looking nervous, and away from home in Europe, it's all set up for us to lose. That's how it comes across. But football's funny like that. What do you, Iggy? What do you think? Do you think this is it, man? It's done. This guy, we're cooked. Or do you think, you know what? Would it be typical for Ange to buy another month at the club and we have to fucking sit here and go through this for another month?
Well, he's done it all season, isn't he? Buying himself another month. So I don't know, man. It's just.
It's a big game, massive game, real test of character. This real test of cojones.
Can Spurs do it? Do you know what? It was so weird because I watched the Frankfurt game and I looked at the Wolves game and it was like it really was watching two different teams. Because I actually thought we played half decent against Frankfurt at home. I really do.
We did.
We played decent. So if we bring in that performance into Germany, then we give ourselves a chance. And at 1-1, it really is 50-50. But if we turn up in the way that we did against Wolves, which I doubt very much, I really don't believe that. I don't think we're going to play that midfield with Sarr and Bissouma, who for me down at this club. If we get that midfield balance right and we take our chances, something that we didn't do the other night at Frankfurt, we can make it. Because against Frankfurt, we had a lot of chances to score. More goals than we
Are we going to do that away from home in that atmosphere in a team that is third in the German league?
We need to show something that I haven't seen in this team all season, and that's character. Yeah. That's the one thing I haven't seen from this team all season. It's tough. It is tough.
Look at Maz laughing. He's comedy for Maz. He's like, "What the fuck are you not chatting about?"
Yeah, because I know what he's going to. He's going to say we're going to fuck.
Maz like, what are you talking about, you idiots? You're so dumb.
You can't. Go on, man. Go on. Tell me.
No, Iggy, what's your prediction? Are we in? Are we out? Are we getting bad? Are we winning? Is it penalties? Or,
I think it'll be 1-1 after 90 minutes, 2-1 in extra time, but I don't know to who.
No, you can't sit on the fence like that. You can't do that.
No. I just think it's going to be 2-1 in extra time, but I can't call it.
Whose night do you think it'll be then? What's your feeling? Whose night do you think it'll be? Do you think Ange will pull a rabbit out the hat, or do you think in the end Frankfurt will cut out?
I don't think tactically at this point of the season, and having a decent defence, and we've not shown that we've got either.
Right, so Iggy's going for a narrow defeat. Let's just call it 2-1. Is it even worth asking, Maz? Go on, Maz. What do you reckon?
We're going to lose.
You think we're out?
What's the point of talking about it? I mean, no one bloody knows what's going to happen, do we? I mean,
there's no.
The likelihood is that we're going to play our stupid Ange ball, and they're going to get a goal or two against us, and we'll be chasing the game, and we don't have enough creativity in us to do anything. Or we get a bit lucky, and we do a bit of smashing at our people's knees from the edge of the box, and hopefully Johnson or someone taps it in. I mean,
do you know?
I think we're going out. I don't even enjoy watching Tottenham at the moment with Ange in charge.
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons why I want him gone. I just can't.
Do you know what? Do you remember when we went to Man City and everyone was like, "We're losing," and we just pulled a mad one out of the hat. I know Man City were going for a shitty time, but we still went and scored 4 goals against them.
But we've regressed since then, though, haven't we? I mean, everyone's
saying that. What I'm trying to say is that we have got a performance like that in us. It has to really come together on the night.
I don't think we do anymore, Iggy. I don't think we do. I think that we've regressed so much. And what I mean by regression, aside from the coaching aspect, is the team does not believe in him at all now.
Yeah, but they what I'm trying to say is that the other night against Frankfurt, we did put a half decent performance in. That's what, if we were completely gone, we would have just got beat and not turned up and put a shit performance. We did put something in that game that we didn't see against Wolves.
That was off the back of a Southampton win as well. We went in there with a bit of confidence. And the Man City game, Iggy, one thing I will say about that Man City game, how many times do we somehow pull a rabbit out the hat against City? There's history there, isn't there? We are their bogey team. So if there's one team that you'd put your money on to do Man City, it's Tottenham. How, I don't know, but you would put your money on us.
I think that's where the lifeline comes from, man. it's like people. I know people probably say it's delusional, maybe rightly so, but I don't know, man. It's just a glimmer of, but also the scoreline. It tells you that you're in the game. So I don't know, man. We'll see. I don't know.
Right, so
you just don't know what Tottenham's going to turn up.
Iggy's gone for a narrow loss. Maz is like, forget it, we're done. Lubo, you're not going to this game, so that speaks in itself. For you not to go to a game like this, you must think we're going out.
Actually, the pal that I travel everywhere with had a heart operation recently, and he didn't want to take the risk. And we said, you know what?
Speedy recovery, man.
Yeah, speedy recovery.
No, he didn't want to take the risk a couple of weeks after, and we just said we'll do the semi if we get through. How do I think we'll do on Thursday? I think that this idiot of a manager will leave Spence on the bench and play Porro Udogie. You know, if you look seriously at his team selection yesterday, I have a horrible feeling he'll play Kulusevski instead of Maddison. And it'll just be go out and do your thing rather than look at a semi-final and say, right, let's keep it tight. Let's hit him on the break. And even if you get to a draw, I know one or two people on here have had a pop at me about Vicario. If we get to penalties, which I cannot see, then I would back Vicario to get us through. But
can I say their first team goalie, I think, is back. Trapp. He's good.
Yeah.
I think Trapp is back because he was suspended.
Yeah.
Last game.
Based on what I've seen, based on the chaos, when we push back, so we'll have to play on the counter. I just can't see it for me. 2-1, 3-1 Frankfurt. Just would love to see us get through.
Do you know what's transpiring is not so much the players or the team that you don't think that can get a result. It's you don't trust the manager to get us.
Well, that's the Iggy. One of the guys on here turned around and said, "Remember Ajax 2019?" Well, the players we had in that team were better.
It was a difference.
And we had Poch there as well. I mean, how can you compare Poch to this clown?
Seriously, prime Son, prime Kane, prime Dele Alex.
We had Toby and Yang. We had
prime Edson.
It was a different moment, different team, different managers, it's different everything. There's no point going there.
I've got to tell you something. If they do get through, it'll be the best result of the season.
Bloody hell.
I just can't see it. Just can't see it.
Michael, what do you reckon?
I think we are getting school fucked. If you know what I'm saying, right? I just have to laugh about it and be honest.
What is a school fuck?
Like school, like school.
Skull fuck.
Skull fucked. Okay.
Skull fucked.
No, not school. Sorry.
What is a school visiting you? What?
Oh, sorry. Okay. My bad. Language barrier and stuff, right?
It's going to be a proper head job then. A proper head job.
I would like to remind everyone, English is not my first language, right?
I love it. I think it's great.
What you say, still?
The worst thing for me is that, and I even said it before the first leg, right? I think we needed to have at least a 2-goal margin to go into that second tie. And the worst thing for me is that this team always concedes, right? So for me, the only way we would go through with Frankfurt was winning 3-1 at home, and we didn't even manage to score 2, right? Because you have to have a 2-goal margin, but we always concede, so you have to score 3, right? So the way I look at this away tie is we will definitely concede, 100% we will concede a goal, right? And we most likely will concede 2. At least, right? So we have to score at least 2 goals away from home at their ground to match them. That's the way I look at it, right? Do I see this team scoring 2 goals? No, I don't, right? Not under this manager, not with this tactics, not with this approach, but I definitely see this team conceding 2 or more, right? So I just don't know what would need to happen for us to win. maybe if they get a red card in like the 5th minute of the game, we will maybe scrape by 2-1 or something, right? Because probably with 10 men, they will still score against us, right? So that's the only way I see us winning this tie. And I hope I'm wrong, by the way, because like as much as I absolutely hate this manager and I am so tired and done with this season, I still want us to do well in this competition, right? I don't care if he's a shit manager, right? I want this team to succeed, and yeah.
The only positive, guys, that could come out from this week if we go out is the fans see Arsenal, who will probably get through in Madrid, and we go out the next day, and people will finally, the fan base will finally wake up and think, shit, we've gone out to Frankfurt and they've gone to the Bernabeu and gone through. Maybe we do have to get behind this protest and start putting pressure on the board, because maybe it'll take that before people start waking up. And there are, we know there's a couple of thousand that have woken up, but people need to get behind this protest.
Lubo, we will have fans in our club, right? Our customers who will say, you see what happens when you stick with a manager for 6 years? You see what you can do? Patience. We will have fans like that. We will. Don't underestimate them. We have got some of the most ridiculous fans in English football. There'll be fans looking to say that as well. I hope you're right. Listen, by the way, I will say there is a protest planned, everyone. Change for Spurs. These are the initial details. It's going to be on the day we play Crystal Palace. We don't know what day that's going to be just yet, because if Spurs do pull off a miracle on Thursday, the Crystal Palace game will be changed. So, but there is a protest planned. I do believe there are plans. They haven't said yet exactly what it is. There is going to be something they've got planned inside the stadium that's different from before. So keep your eyes and ears posted on that one. As soon as we find out, we'll get the boys back on the channel, Billy and Jay, and they can talk about it a bit more as well. But there is a protest planned very, very soon. And good, there should be one every home game, I think. Look, for whatever it's worth, I think we're out. I said we needed a 2-goal lead in the first leg. I said I fancied us to actually knock out Frankfurt. I had a feeling we'd knock them out, but after that first leg, not putting those chances away, I think going away from home with our shit form to a team that has got a decent manager in front of that hostile atmosphere with the performance we put in on the weekend, I think when you layer it all up, I don't think we're going to get battered, by the way. I don't think they're going to run right all over us. I think we're going to give them a game. But I think I'm with Iggy on this one. I think it's going to be a narrow loss. 2-1, 3-2. I think we're out. I don't see us going through, unfortunately. So, yeah. Let's hope we're all wrong, but I've got a funny feeling we're all going to be right. Marlon, big up to you. Conspiracy Brain, Spurs King TV. Marlon speculated the reason Ange is still here is out of spite due to the protest. That's what Michael just said. That's the next level of vindictiveness, mate.
Listen, we know Levy hates the fans. Everybody knows that. It's no secret. The way he operates, the way he treats us, everybody know what he thinks of the fans. We're not fans, remember. We're clients. We've all got our client reference number. We're clients. Remember that. I'm still a fan, Daniel. You've never got it from day one, mate.
That's why we have to protest. Before we go, guys, one quick question. I saved it to the end. Big up to the 2 Mark Show. Make sure you go like and subscribe to them. As we all know, Romero has checked out. This is a good question. Would you play him on Thursday? Would you guys start Romero? And if not, who do you start?
I think the issue is we don't really have someone else in his place, right? Because I don't think you. Yeah, but then you play Ben Davies on the right, so Ben Davies is shit on the left. So
you guys learn that it just does not matter who plays.
Yeah, that's
it just doesn't matter.
It's attitude. It's not. It's nothing to do with it. It's all to do with the attitude.
But the question is, Romero's attitude is he's checked out. So would you play him or not?
No,
I would.
If Danzo was available, I'd play Danzo.
But he's not, so you've got to go with him.
There you go.
You've got to go with Romero. You have to play Romero.
Romero,
Van der Ven, Spence, and then take your pick out of Porro and Udogie. You got to start. That's got to be the back four.
Yeah.
The only Udogie and Poro. Who do you choose? The other three are dead set to start. In my team, I would play Van der Ven, Romero, and Spence, and then pick one or between Udogie and Poro. But that would be my back four.
You start with Romero 100%.
Of course.
100%. Oh, do you know what? All players make mistakes. You know, Bergval's been coming on very nicely this season. He made a bad error yesterday. Vicario's made 2. I see Rodney put on here Vicario's save percentage this season is 93.3%. You know, they're human beings. They make mistakes. They don't mean to make mistakes.
But like I said,
let's excuse their performances then. Ian. They all make mistakes. We're all human.
Maz, that's a different story. That you're switching it. I'm just saying that every player makes a mistake. Roberto Baggio had a penalty in the '94 World Cup final.
Yeah, the
penalty is still going around the moon.
Yeah. I'd almost forgotten about that penalty, Ian. Cheers for that reminder.
How is that relevant?
How would you pick one of the greatest players of all time, Baggio, to give an
example? Moment.
Exactly.
There's so many good things, but he'll always be known for that.
Right? That players all make mistakes. Yeah, it seems at Spurs that they're constantly making mistakes because
this team, these tactics, this manager has put a team together that exposes their weaknesses more than their strengths, which is why they continue to make mistakes.
You know what you just done there, Ian? You just done an Ange Postecoglou on us. It's unusual for the players.
It's not
to make mistakes. That's exactly what you just done on us with that statement. It's exactly what you've done.
Which one?
Your statement of all players make mistakes. It's something that Ange would come out with in his press conference.
It's true. It's true. Hang on.
Sky's blue.
Hang on. Lord Rodney Trotter. Facts Bobo looked it up today. One of the best in the league, first or second. We will be 18th or 19th without Vicario. There you go. Well done, Rodney.
You know what the funny thing is? That you know what? I think I can't remember who put that comment up. It might have been Sav actually. He said, "This team ain't him and all that. If someone had just had a little bit of know-how with a different manager, we'd probably be talking about Spurs going through." Fucking unreal when you think about it.
We'll see if they're all that at their home ground. Let's see if they're the same at home as what we saw
since
when
Vicario's come back. How many points have we won with Vicario back in the team?
Sorry,
when did he come back?
How many points would we have lost without Vicario in the team? Is the question.
Man, I can answer your question
been in the
partly
team for a long time.
Right, I can answer your question partly because. Somewhere here, there it is. These are the last 15 games we've played, and the last 15 games we played puts us 17th in the league.
Right. Vicario's been back for how many games now?
I think he came back end of February, didn't he? End of February he came back.
Right. So there you go. So just pinning it on, making out that Vicarios are safe over and above.
10 points, Mas.
5 or 6 games.
There you go, and that's good, is it?
By the way,
10 points out of 24.
By the way, Theo, Baggio is on a different level to anything we've got, and that was my point. If Baggio can make a mistake, then players at our level can make mistakes as well.
By the way, I know it's not a popular opinion, right? But I think people are losing their shit with Vicario, and it's infuriating me, right? Like I'm not saying he's the best keeper out there, but he's definitely not as shit as people claim for him to be. And seriously, like I know stats. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not looking at the game through numbers and whatever, right? But he's missed, I think it's like 12 games this season. And he still has the highest goals prevented in the league against keepers that played the whole season, right? He prevented the most goals in the league.
Yeah, but you know why that is, though, don't you?
Yeah,
it's because the teams have 400 billion shots against us.
Mas, is it his fault? He's doing his job, right?
It's partly his fault. He's part of
Why?
the defence, isn't he?
Yeah, but
Why?
Vicario came back
Because-
at home against Man United.
Is he out there?
I'll explain
Is
why.
he out
I'll
there?
explain.
But is he out there
why.
in the field? Is he out there in the field
No,
stopping
I'll explain why.
attacks? Right?
When does he not look shaky when he starts passing it out from the back and
I'm
starts,
not-
and
Yeah, he's
starts-
not great
and
with his
starts-
feet, man. We know this.
There we go.
We know this.
Right.
Pass
Does he
it,
not
pass
look
it.
shaky? No, hold on.
One at a time. One at a time.
Does he not look shaky when we have corners going in the box and he's like fumbling the ball or getting knocked over or punching the ball down?
I told you this a long time ago, and
Does
Iggy
he-
wanted to counsel me. Iggy tried to
Right,
counsel me.
How does it relate to shot stopping? I'm talking about shot stopping, right?
No, I'm saying that
As a shot stopper, Vicario is excellent. As a shot
as a
stopper, he's
stopper, he's
excellent.
excellent.
But
what I'm saying
distribution,
is he's not
commanding the box,
marshalling-
he's
not marshalling
vulnerable.
His defense.
He's very vulnerable.
As good as
So
what I think he should
we have a
be.
goalkeeper that's not great with his feet, so we try to play football out from the back.
There you go.
Think
Yeah,
about it.
that's not
Correct.
his fault.
No, correct.
Exposing
You're right. You're right.
weaknesses.
You're right.
We expose
You're right.
players'
You're right.
weaknesses instead of showing their strengths. This is what my point has been the whole time. We do that. We play a high line with with slow. We've done it when Dragusin was at the back. A high line with a slow defender. With someone that wants to play 10, 15 yards further back. We're going to play you halfway up. Maddison at number 10. No, not there, Maddison. We're going to drop you back to number 6. Play from there. Fullbacks. No, we don't want you to go on the outside. You got to go on the inside. You got to go centre mid. So the centre midfielders looking to his right. You see the right back there, and you see the left back there.
Do you know
What
what?
the fuck are you two doing? now?
The reality is,
stat on Sava's show,
The list is
right?
ended.
There was a stat that Sava brought up that whereby Vicario was directly contributed to 10. What's the terminology?
It's incorrect information, mate.
Was that incorrect? Was that
It's
proven?
not been substantiated.
Right. Okay. So
Has
you know what? This whole thing
By the
about
way, he came
Vicario,
back against Man
Romero.
United at home in February. You're right. So he came back in February against Man United.
Yeah,
10 points. 10 points, Iggy.
Do you know what? The problem we've got is with players like Vicario, players like Maddison, players like Bentancur, players like Udogie, Porro, Romero, these kinds of players, we don't really know what their level is because they're playing suicidal football. If we had a manager, yes.
Yeah, so basically that's my point, right? I think people are going like sell him his shit, right? And some people are going he's world class. I think the truth is somewhere here, right? I'm just advocating.
I believe my boy Sava, Michael.
Right?
I believe my boy Sava, who said that stat isn't incorrect, right? He's correct that he is directly calls for it.
He's just trying to wind me up.
My boy Sava, right?
Yeah.
And
my brethren.
Where I do agree with Sava is we make out that all of these players are like, you know, just because they do a few good things, that all of a sudden they're these superstar players, and we shouldn't blame them.
They're not superstars. No one said they're superstars.
That's why I'm arguing, right?
When we signed Vicario, he was one of the most promising players. That he had a really good season at Serie A. And
Guys, there's a flip side to these stats.
He was going to go on to bigger and better things. I don't know how the fuck from that he ended up at Tottenham is beyond me personally. I don't know who advised him to go there. He could have gone. It could still go to another team and get a better tune out of him.
See, here's the issue though.
How
we can bring up we could bring up stats. We could bring up stats on Vicario, Romero, Udogie, whoever. We can. I'm sure we can find a way. But here's the thing: they're all playing for a manager who is statistically the worst we've had. The manager's stats are shocking. So surely it's going to be reflected in the players' stats. There's got to be a correlation. Does that mean Vicario is brilliant? No. Does it mean Romero is the best?
No, but they can play better than what they're showing.
Doesn't mean they are absolutely dog shit and they should be sold.
No, they can. This is the point. They can play better.
Archie Gray's never played as a 6. I think he played half the game.
Ian, on many occasions, said that the whole team was utter dog shit. Right? He said these players are not as good as everyone thinks, and now all of a sudden,
do you guys think someone like Eddie Howe as a manager?
I think Solanke's been overhyped, and I said that from day one. This guy's overhyped. He's only had one good season.
Would Eddie Howe get a better tune out of this team?
Eddie Howe, yeah, of course he would. Yeah, 100%.
By the way, wish him well.
I would get a better tune out of this team.
So what I'm trying to say is, whilst we agree, they're not.
Look at Newcastle yesterday. Look how freaking well drilled they are, man. They're just conditioned. They know where to play. They know players know. See, this is another thing. A proper manager plays players in their right position and tells them to do the job that the position's supposed to do. He doesn't tell them to move all over the park and play in 4 different positions during a game.
To put them in a situation to show strengths rather than exposing their weaknesses. It's been
why does Vicario get a pass, right? And
no one said
he doesn't get a pass.
We all agreed that he had a shit game yesterday against Wolves.
Well, there we go then. So why is everyone...
Maz, do you rate Buffon? Do you rate Buffon as a goalie?
Come on, man. Let's not like bring in like legendary goalkeepers as an example of anything.
No. The reason I'm asking is because Buffon's the one that said this goalie Vicario is going to be a top goalie. It's going to happen.
Yeah, and when he becomes a top goalie, I'll jump on the bandwagon. But until he becomes a top goalie,
yeah, I'm not saying he is top. What I'm saying is clearly people saw something in him, and like most people that have got a good name, like Vicario came to us with a good reputation. He comes to Spurs, plays under Ange ball, and it's a shit show. Udogie was a very good fullback.
Would you keep or sell Vicario?
He comes to Spurs, and
I would keep Vicario.
Okay, so it's not as bad as.
No, look.
What I'm trying to say is, I think we need to get rid of the manager, bring in a proper coach, play a different system.
My point exactly.
And what was it? I don't think there are players in this team that are not good enough.
I don't know what to make of these players, except for 3 or 4 who I can categorically tell you. I can tell you now, Werner is shit. Matthias Tell is not £50 million. Solanke is not the striker for Spurs. And I also think that Pape Sarr is not that midfielder that we think he is.
My
reason I'm so
I agree with you, Michael. I agree.
Hyping up like Vicario. I'm even against hyping up Spence. I think it is in the depths of our despair. We do what Tottenham fans always do: is we pick out little moments of magic during a game, right? And we blow them up to be these incredible.
Who's done that, man?
I don't know. Just in the way that we're speaking about.
Who's done that here? We have said that for me, players like Vicario, Spence, Van der Ven, I would keep Maddison because I know there's more to Maddison than what we are seeing. See, those are 4 players, for example. Bergvall I've liked this season. I've said that. I'm not saying. I think 5 players that I would keep for next season.
Yeah. I'm not advocating getting rid of our whole squad based off what I'm seeing in the Ange, right? Like you, I like VDV. I would even say Udogie's got potential because I remember what he was like.
They need to be proper.
Right?
Kulu got overhyped. Kulu got overhyped, I think. Kulu got overhyped this season.
Right? But this season has been the only.
Yeah, but I don't think Kulu's a bad player. I would have him at Spurs.
Listen to what I said. I'm not saying he's bad. Maz, I think he got overhyped. We had fans saying he's the best midfielder in the league, for fuck's sakes. We had fans saying he's the best midfielder in the league.
Forget that.
We can't forget it. That's the problem. That's the overhype.
The thing is, you could say fucking the moon's made of cheese and fucking it gives a shit.
Our fans think the moon's made of cheese, Iggy. Our fans think the moon is made.
One thing about Kulusevski that we've established that if he's put in the right condition, first of all, he needs to be physically well. Secondly, we know that he plays better in the middle than he does on the right. So why the fuck have we insisted playing him on the right when we know he gets you a better performance in the centre of the park? What I'm trying to say is we've exposed our players to give us more shitty performance than he does, and that is down to the manager. Under a better coach, you would have got better performances from these players. I'm not saying they're elite, they're world class. I'm not saying any of that. They're not 17th in the league, though, man. They're not. Yeah, that level.
I agree with that. One thing I will say is Tell is an awful player.
He's going to go back to Bayern Munich.
He's awful.
We're not signing him. I'm not even worried about him.
He's valued the same as Kvaratskhelia and Doué. How is Matthias Tell the same price? as Doué at PSG and
there was
Kvaratskhelia.
people saying, right? I saw Tol make some really good runs the other day. Well, Werner makes really good runs as well, right? But he never does anything. Neither does Tell.
Go to a fucking running track, and you can make a lot of runs there, man, as well. This is football we're talking about. We're not talking about runs.
How is Matty K? How is he technically a very good player? What has he done technically on the ball to show you he's a very good player? How many players has he beaten since he's been at Spurs?
Matty K thinks all our players are top. That's just Matty K. Let's go let Matty K be Matty K.
Matty, you are giving under 21s as an example. Like the gap between under 21s international tournaments and Premier League is like.
To be fair, when I was Matty K's age, I thought Steve Sedgley and Dean Austin were top players as well. If I'm honest with you, I think it's an age thing as well. Without disrespecting Matty, he's a lovely lad.
Guys,
Dean Austin was.
Can I quickly? Do you guys agree with me, right? Because like if you go through the list of players, right? Fuck off, still. If you go through the list of players, right? Do you agree with me about keeping these players, right? I would keep Vicario, right? And I'm talking like first 11. I'm not talking about Kinskis and all that stuff, right? But Vicario, Van de Ven. I would keep Romero if he wanted to stay, but he doesn't, right? So I'm not counting him, but. Vicario, Van de Ven, Danso looks okay. I would keep Porro, Doggy, and Spence. I think they are good, right? I would keep Madison. I would keep Bergwall, Kulusevski, and Son. Maybe Son. Maybe.
You keep Son.
If he was more of an impact player, but I can completely agree.
I wanted Son gone 3 years ago when he was actually good.
I can completely agree. If you don't want to, I don't mind, right? I'm just like, I'm on the fence with Son, right? But do you agree with the rest? And possibly Bentancur. Possibly.
I would keep, I agree. I would keep,
We need to go to a back three and play with wing backs. That's the only reason. The only way I would keep any of those defenders.
I would keep the Doji.
Otherwise, forget.
Yeah,
I said it.
I said
back three, wing backs, and two up top. 100%.
I would keep the three fullbacks we have, Van de Ven and Danso. I think they are okay, right? I would keep Vicario. I would keep, as I said, Madison, Kulusevski, Bergvall.
Would you keep Archie Gray?
Yeah, I would keep Archie Gray. I think there is something there, right? But that's unrealistic, right? We are not going to F off 20 players, right, and only keep the ones that I mentioned, right? So I guess Solanke stays in the squad. Johnson probably stays. Who else?
No, Johnson can't stay, man. Johnson can't stay.
But he will. He will stay this summer. Like I don't see us selling him, right? Like I think who else stays? Dragusin obviously stays.
Dragusin's another. See, Dragusin, if he just plays as an old school centre half, but the thing is, no one plays old school football anymore. Yeah. No one really plays old school football. Mind you, though, do you know what? Dragusin in Newcastle might work.
Every player works at Newcastle because they know.
I don't think Dragusin's a bad defender.
He ain't. He's just got to play. He can't play in the halfway line. He's got to drop 10 yards there. But you've got to have a manager that plays in the back three, maybe in the middle of the three, not out there exposed. The thing is, guys, the centre backs. Before I shoot off, guys, our centre backs.
We're gonna wrap it up, Iggy. Don't worry, we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, our centre backs have been playing on their own, high up, with the full backs 50 yards ahead of them, and they've got to deal with tricky situations. And they've been brought out wide. Listen, it's been a mess. The system is what the context is what hasn't worked. So it's very hard to judge individuals. Really is to judge individuals for their performances when the context isn't working in our team, and that's what's happened. That's why at Newcastle you've got some really good players, but you've got some also average players in the Newcastle team. But because the context works. And Eddie Howe's got them in a situation where it reveals all Newcastle's strengths, man. That's why they look really good. That's all it is, man.
Yeah.
Don't tell me every Newcastle player in that first 11 are fucking elite. world class or no. It's not.
He's developed players as well. He's developed,
man.
players.
Yeah, and then you got players like Isak, Barnes.
Anthony Gordon,
Tonali's come back. You know, they're hitting the ground running. Man, they got good
Livramento. He's been quite decent this year.
Lewis Hall.
It's the context that works, man.
Good team, man. Good team.
When you get them together and then you win something, of course now they're buzzing, man. They look like they're going to go and Champions League football next season.
They're going to do
it. And look at it. You look at the owners, you look at the fans. Everything's in unison right now, man. Even before they won the cup,
because they got rid of their owners. They got rid of their owners.
It was already there, though. The unison was already there. And when you got the unison together, you can achieve so many good things. It doesn't take much. That's the thing that's frustrating. It doesn't take much to get yourself to that point. And unfortunately, until we get certain situations at our club sorted out, we will never get to that point. But we're not a million miles away of getting to that point either. That's the frustrating thing. We could do that in a matter of 3 years. I really do believe in 3 years we'll be able to do that. But as it stands, man, everything's at
Iggy.
Cop blocks. That's what I call Levy a cop block.
Iggy, Harry Redknapp took us from bottom of the table to top four in 18 months, didn't he? I think.
But Ian, it takes 3 years, man. With a proper plan, 3 years, a couple of 2-3 transfer markets, get the right players in with the manager that everyone's behind. The manager's key to that point. The director of football that provides the players that the manager needs is absolutely. And you got an ownership who truly believe in what they all want to do. There's a unison. The fans see what's happening, and the fans will give you 10 games. If they start seeing, oh shit, we are doing things, they're behind that as well. Everyone's involved, and all of a sudden you've got this express train moving together as one. That's how shit moves, man. But at Spurs, there's never been any of that. It never has been. The last time we keep mentioning, the last time we had a little bit of that was the Conte era. After that, it's done. We had a little bit of Mourinho as well, I have to say. There was. But after that, it's been null and void. And we've not had that. That's what I'm saying. We're going the other way. It's not even standing still anymore. We're not moving forward. We're not standing still. We've gone back. That's hard to take, man, to see a team regress. So you're going for the painful rebuild to go even further back. Like Mike said, it's just pain. It's just pain right now.
This isn't a rebuild. There's no rebuild with Timo Werner.
It's not even painful rebuild. It's just pain. You're right.
I can't wait for the next rebuild, by the way. I'm ready for the
next hype train. Guys, we're going to wrap it up. Just want to say a big thank you to everyone who commented tonight, everybody who put in the super chats, Marlon, Ace, Chris, and channel members Amzo and Henry Fong. We've got some shows coming up in the next couple of days. I'll be on the Danalist tomorrow at 7:30. If you want to go and check out Spurs Danalist, there's a link down there. 7:30, he's doing a show. I've said I'll come and join the guys over there. Looking forward to that one. Tomorrow evening at 10 p.m, Mari is doing the long-awaited return of North London is Ours. That should be an absolute car crash because I think Stefan's going to run riot, but I might jump on.
Rightly so.
And school him a little bit. Now he needs a little bit of schooling. Come check that one out. And then on Thursday, we've got a live watch along. Starts on YouTube and then it goes on to Big Up. And after the watch along, we'll be on YouTube again for the post-match show. So the Danalist, North London is Ours, the watch along post-match show. We've got 4 things going on the next couple of days. Otherwise, we're done. Let's see what happens on Thursday and just maybe Friday. Ange might finally get sacked. We're going to find out. Iggy, final words and we'll wrap it up.
Have a good night, everyone. Sleep well. And let's hope Thursday. Let's hope Thursday some madness happens and we come back to North London with a qualification. Hope is the last thing to die. Let's go with that.
Maz?
We're living.
Ange better get sacked by Friday. Because if he doesn't, then we're going to have to. I don't know if I'm going to come back until the end of the season.
The final curtain. Lubo,
Ryan Mason better be manager this Friday. That's all I'm saying. He better be the manager, and I want the mole found. I want two things. I want the mole found and Ryan Mason as manager by Friday. That's it.
What football club has a mole and a leak? What is this? What are these press conferences? When he sat there going, "Yeah, we've got a leak in the club. You know, I know who it is. I know who the mole is." I started thinking, "Is this a football?"
Imagine a week where Arsenal get knocked out by Real Madrid and Spurs go through to the semi-finals. Holy shit!
Do you know what? I would do an emergency North London is our show. An emergency generational North London is our show.
Oh my god! Imagine putting a bet on that. What odds you'd get some mad odds.
Yeah.
Gamble
you'd also get a slap in the face. Thinking it's going to happen.
Man, chill, Agnes. Arsenal fans, I'm just saying, just imagine what the odds of the bookies would be to get those two. One goes through, one goes out.
Oh, okay.
Man.
Yeah.
Lubo, final words.
Final words. I think does someone know how we can get Sava a gig at the Comedy Store? He's been very funny this evening.
If anyone's got any connections, let us know. Get in contact with Lubo. If anyone knows an agent at the Comedy Store, speak to Lubo. Michael, final words.
Yeah, listen, Speedway has started finally. Mas can, learn to enjoy it. Oh, sorry, speed porn. It is speed porn Mas, so yeah. My team has won. I am super ecstatic about it. From today onwards,
I'm glad you're all right, Michael. I'm glad you're happy,
you're
mate.
all right. Glad you're all right.
From today onwards, I am a Speedway fan, not a football fan. In all seriousness, I don't know. Whatever happens on Thursday, if we lose, I hope this manager gets sacked. If we go through, I guess I will be happy because we go through to the semi-final. That's good. By the way, even though as I said, I hate this manager, the priority of the club is for me to get as close to a trophy as you can. So, yeah, listen. Enjoy it. Enjoy your weeks, guys. Don't think about Spurs too much. Just whatever happens. We have no impact over what happens on Thursday. So, just try to enjoy your week. When the game comes, watch it. We'll probably get stopped, and that's it, right? And by the way, because you boys were speaking about odds, right? I wonder, could you imagine if we won the Europa League, but Arsenal won the Champions League?
Wasn't that the exact situation we were in 2019? We got to the Champions League final and Arsenal got to the Europa.
And they were in Europa, yeah. And we both lost. And by the way, if we both won, like if we won Europa and they would win the Champions League, right? We would play the Super Cup. Because in the summer before the season starts, the winner of Europa and Champions League play.
Yeah, European Super Cup. Yeah,
European Super Cup. Could you imagine North London Derby?
Listen to the delusion on this channel. We're talking about the Super Cup. We can't even fucking beat Wolves away, man.
I know. I'm just trying to find something funny to talk about because talking about this club is misery. So.
Could be a massive week this week. I mean, Michael gets engaged and Ange gets sacked. I mean, it's
what's better? Which one is better?
Double celebration. All right, everyone. Thanks for being here as always. Appreciate all of you. We'll be back Tuesday, Thursday. Come check it all out. We'll be back next Monday as well to discuss where we're at. Who knows where we're going to be next Monday? There's so much happening. Who have we got next in the league, by the way?
Who gives a shit?
Forest next Monday.
We play Monday night.
Monday night, 8:00.
Oh, we might need to move our show to Tuesday then.
Nah, just do it. Just do a watch along on a Monday night. We'll laugh.
All right, guys. Okay, here. This is the first ever. And next week's Monday night show is going to be a watch along. We're all going to sit and watch the game together. There you go. That'll be the show. Maybe Mason will be in charge. All right, thanks for joining.
Go straight into a post-match, right there and then.
Do the watch along and call it a night. We've seen enough. Have a good week. We'll be back tomorrow, back Thursday. Enjoy yourselves. And thanks as always. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Bye-bye.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.